is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, look who's back in her chair, trying to get comfortable with a T-shirt on, which probably not recommended in the studio. Sue Thomas, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi.
Welcome back. I can't believe it's been like a week since you've been here, right?
Thank you.
Wednesday was your last day last week, so that's
Thursday,
like having a whole week off.
Yeah, that was almost. Fred, there's something on your head.
There's something
no,
on
like
his
on
head?
your headphones.
Oh, yeah, on the
There's something
headphones.
sticking out.
Okay. It's actually the label that says my name on it is what it is, because Fred, you're at the point where I'm not sure. I've not asked Fred this question, but we'll just do it publicly here. It appears it appears as if you are headphone challenged in the last month. So you can just tear my name off the top of that. You can have those, okay?
Thank you.
Because I don't even think they work in both ears, do they?
What happened to yours?
No.
Oh,
I can't find them. I don't know. I just can't find them.
But you had the old Apple earbuds, right?
Yeah, I
it was time.
I filed them
It was
somewhere
time to
in my
switch.
stuff. I
Now
just
you
can't
have
find them.
headphones that are Sony, and what do they say on them, Fred? They say professional.
Professional.
That's how I know I'm a professional, because
That's
I wear
right.
headphones that say professional.
Mm.
So
No pressure.
do they work in both ears?
No.
Okay, well you
Not
can
very
have those. All right?
professional.
Thank you.
We just need it. Sometimes we need it for the round table. But look, now I'm where you can't hear out of the damn headphones. I always didn't like, I don't like those stupid earbuds anyway. So I'm actually proud of you wearing over the ear headphones.
That's right.
It should be a law or an executive order or something like that. Did you do anything fun, Sue, when you were gone, or were you
Oh my
just kind
gosh,
of
yes.
doing busy home stuff? No,
No,
you went
no.
on a trip, right?
Yeah, we went to New York State to Watkins Glen International Racetrack. It was an Alphas
Ooh.
event there. Alphas at the Glen. They do it every 5 years.
And
And it was
Alphas is
awesome.
what?
Alfa Romeos.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
Okay.
that either,
Yeah.
Fred. Don't feel bad.
Oh, sorry, ALFA.
Yes.
Yes, Alphas at the Glen. And it's such a great event. We had a great time. The people are fantastic. It was a great weekend. Gorgeous weather, gorgeous scenery.
Where in New York State? And I don't know my geography, so you can really just kind
Watkins
of
Glen,
make
New
something
York.
up. But like, where is that?
So that would be past Erie, so southern parts of New York State, closer to Pennsylvania. Turns out my grandfather, who worked for Kendall Oil in Bradford, Pennsylvania, which isn't far from there, used to go to this race when it was on the streets of Watkins Glen in the 40s until a spectator was killed.
Oh.
And then they thought,
Oh.
you know what, let's go ahead and build a track.
Wow.
So that's what happened. And it was great.
All right. Well, welcome back. We're
Thank
glad to
you.
have you back. We have, we're going to talk a little bit about Jimmy Kimmel today. Brian Kilmeade's coming up in a couple of minutes. I want to address the apology and get into some stuff. We have Bill King, who used to be, I don't want to say used to be a politician, but he ran for mayor of Houston. But he's an interesting businessman. He writes it real clear, politics, and often offers very unique perspectives on issues. And this one is immigration. So we'll visit with him. We have Curtis Houck coming up from Newsbusters a little bit later. And a real interesting case out of St. Charles County involving a kid who is allegedly being abused. It's a parent, a friend of a parent who kind of brought this to me via email, and the case is interesting enough that we're going to give it a little attention here in the 5 o'clock hour. By the way, and I don't know if you feel this way, Sue, maybe because you're up, but I'm like a day off completely this week. I keep thinking like yesterday was Wednesday to me. Today is Thursday. It's not the case. I've had to correct myself several times, but it is Wednesday. And because of that, we often visit with Alex Rich, and he's going to swing by and spend a little time in the next hour. Let me start by just reading this. I have some audio. We had an ICE attack today down in Dallas. That's kind of how the morning started. And it seems like it was another one of these things. This is becoming the new trend, to engrave things on bullet casings. And you had anti-ICE, sentiments, if you will, that were engraved on these bullets. The dude kills himself, but he shoots at this van, and he doesn't kill agents. We had a couple injuries, but then were there 2 deaths, Fred? Or are they saying
Originally it was 1, 2 injured? It may have gone up to another.
okay,
one.
but we think that they were actually the migrants who were being, processed at that. It wasn't
law
a detention
enforcement.
facility. Yeah, law enforcement. But anyway, that, and that's a terrible, terrible story. Again, here we have political violence that is being spelled out on bullet casing. You can't tell me, again, I don't know that this is all copycat, but you can't tell me that we've had 4 or 5 shootings in a row now where this bullet casing thing has become an issue. When do we ever have that? Never had that before, did we?
No.
It's a new thing.
Okay. So Matt Walsh, I'm a big fan of Matt Walsh, and he wrote this. And, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I think a lot of you know that I've been somewhat critical along with Ted Cruz and a few others, of the whole FCC angle on the Jimmy Kimmel situation. We'll get back to that here in a second, but I thought Matt was pretty good when he wrote, imagine that we have a Democrat administration. Now imagine that in right-wing radical shot and killed one of the most influential liberals in the country on live TV. Now imagine that thousands of other conservatives shamelessly celebrated the assassination and called for more of them. Now imagine that in the same week, another right-winger shot up a country club while shouting MAGA, and another one shot up a news station and left behind a manifesto complaining about liberal bias in the media. Now imagine that a week after all those attacks, a conservative sniper perched on a rooftop fired into a Planned Parenthood clinic, killing or injuring multiple people. And imagine that the Planned Parenthood attack was just the latest in a string of them stretching back several months. Is there any doubt how Democrats would respond? Is there any doubt that they would wage a full-scale war on conservatives and have people like me frog marched in front of the cameras in handcuffs and leg irons? Is there any doubt that they would declare martial law and label all right-wing expression incitement? Is there any doubt that they would be rounding up conservatives by the busload and shipping us to Gitmo? Is there any doubt? I'm not quite sure about that one, but I get his point. Is there any doubt that they would have Fox News and every other conservative media company shut down, its executives arrested or sued into bankruptcy? I'm not even advocating for Republicans to do all that. Democrats would do if the roles were reversed, Matt said. I believe in the rule of law. I know that they would throw the rules out, chuck the Constitution into the wood chipper, and ruthlessly persecute us all if conservatives engage in the kind of systemic campaign of violence and terrorism, political terrorism, that they're conducting right now. I don't want anyone to be persecuted. What I do want, what we all want, is for the Trump administration to do absolutely everything legally in its power to prosecute and punish every leftist responsible for committing, coordinating, funding, or inciting this epidemic of political violence. I want them to actually treat Antifa like the terrorist organization that it is and handle its adherents and affiliates the same way we handle ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Now is the time. Lives hang in the balance. Crush the terrorists. Do it now. So those are some strong words from Matt Walsh. Before we get Brian on here in a couple of minutes, because we're going to talk about this, let me get to the Kimmel apology. I didn't watch it live last night. I haven't watched his show in a long time. I was just saying this to somebody out there. I really do kind of miss the days, Fred. And you and I worked together for a long time, and you remember that I would pull some stuff from the late night shows that was funny when we were on KMOX. We wouldn't play a lot of it. I've done audio cut of the day for a long time, but we would play the late night comedians because they were maybe being funny, mocking a politician. And we've gotten so far away from that. And I guess that's what they feel their niche is at this point. Sue, have you heard the apology? Okay. One thing I guaranteed, and this came true, is I knew he would cry. Right. I don't think that Jimmy Kimmel has no talent. President Trump said that. I don't like it when he says, no talent. He's got talent. I used to watch him on The Man Show going back when he was funny. I actually thought it was pretty funny when the show first came out. Okay. But he's gotten away from that. So what I know about Jimmy Kimmel in the modern era is he's very mean-spirited, sits on his high horse, lectures conservatives, never wants to look at things from a different perspective. And he says something here that is glaringly BS that I'll address, and I think most of you will hear in a second. But let me play a little bit of what he said last night on his show.
It's important to me as a human, and that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it, nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make. For those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way.
Okay, so I give him a little credit there for the last part of that, because they're trying to hide behind this. Let me play the next bite, because this is where I think it gets exposed. But he's trying to hide behind this nonsense that he didn't try. Look, he was concerned, and this was the narrative from last weekend, and it still becomes the narrative. And I can't even believe that we're still doing this, a couple of weeks later, that it was some sort of right-wing nut that did this. You have the New Yorker and some of these other publications that are printing pieces that are just stunning, especially in the aftermath of the text messages. Now, what Jimmy Kimmel said that got him into trouble the first time, the blank storm that was created, was on Monday night. All right. When was the memorial service, Fred, for
It was Sunday.
Sunday, right? So Monday is the day after Sunday, isn't it? I just want to establish that here quickly. So he's taping his show.
But it was
a week ago.
Yeah.
It was before the memorial.
Right.
Okay, that's where I think my dates are off here.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, so because I'm glad you pointed that out because that's where I get confused. Because this is what he said about his wife. I think what I was thinking is that he would have already heard the the service, but he didn't because it was a week ago. I'm telling you, Sue, I'm losing complete track of time. It's crazy right now.
I get it.
But here's what Jimmy said about Erica.
Erica Kirk forgave the man who shot her husband. She forgave him. That is an example we should follow. If you believe in the teachings of Jesus as I do, there it was. That's it. A selfless act of grace, forgiveness from a grieving widow. It touched me deeply. And I hope it touches many. And if there's anything we should take from this tragedy to carry forward, I hope it can be that. And not this.
Okay. And I don't think he's wrong about that. I was kind of wondering about that because what would have happened had the whole week gone by? Let's say that he was on hiatus or something like that. I wonder what the tone of the monologue would have been on Monday night of this week after that ceremony, because, a lot of the narrative on the left was, oh, Christian nationalism, look what's taking over here. They're not comfortable with any of it. That show was not aired here in St. Louis because of Sinclair. So he had quite a few people watching on YouTube on a stream last night, but the audience wasn't as big as it usually is. What did you think of the apology, Fred?
I thought it wasn't really an apology.
Yeah, he didn't really apologize for anything. Yeah, that's one thing I think that people will point out this afternoon. And, we'll have Curtis on in the 5 o'clock hour. Sue, did you pay any attention, like when you were gone, to all this Jimmy Kimmel stuff? It was starting to really pick up because when you were on the last day was the night that we were just getting off the air last Wednesday. They taped the show at 4 p.m. in LA. We were getting off the air right at 6, and that's when that word came down last Wednesday.
Well, you can't totally get away from it, but mostly it was. In other words, I saw it when I got back.
What do you think of the apology? Or what he said last night?
Just having listened to it now, I would say he was just explaining. There's no apology.
Yeah. He'll likely, and this is, I don't know if he'd come back, but he'll likely end up winning in the short term on this because it is drawing more attention to his show.
Yeah.
And I don't think it'll be too long before he says something else that'll get him into trouble, but we'll see, because look, it's a costly show. There are issues with the ratings and the contract's up for renewal, but we'll talk about some of these things this afternoon with Brian Kilmeade, who's going to join us next. I mentioned Curtis Houck from the Media Research Center in the 5 o'clock hour. We got Thomas Helbig swinging by. Our final Protecting Your Retirement event is a week from tomorrow, Thursday, October 2nd at the St. Louis Hilton Frontenac. And then I told you about this case out in St. Charles County. We'll get to that with a special ed student too, which makes it even more egregious. Tomorrow is, Friday is the start of the Ryder Cup. Usually PGA events are 4 days, but the Ryder Cup starts this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. Europe versus the Americans. Dan Reardon is going to give us a preview. We also have Bill DeWitt III on tomorrow. Now I want you to talk about this, Fred, and I'm glad that you set it up. Were you here, Sue, when we played? I don't think you were. Bill DeWitt III was with his family at the Vatican, meeting Pope Leo.
Right.
And he gave him a Cardinals jersey, right?
Right.
And he admitted, I don't think I have the audio right now, he admitted that Pope Leo admitted that his father, even though he was a White Sox fan, his father was a Cardinals fan.
Oh, interesting.
So we'll get Mr. DeWitt on tomorrow afternoon, and he'll share that story. I thought it was pretty cool. Also, Evolution Festival is coming up this weekend, and I want to talk about that a little bit. We'll continue to do that on Friday. Jeff Jarrett with Contemporary Productions and the festival, and a guy named James Walburn, who's really cool. He's got a band called His Lordship. They're playing on Saturday night at the festival, but James is like the full-time current guitarist in the Pretenders, and he's got lots of really cool guitar chops. So that's coming up a little later in the week.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Crews are on the scene of an accident. It's southbound 55 past Arsenal in the construction zone. Now, they've got the right lane blocked, and the left lane is already blocked by road work. So we've got a parking lot jam that goes back through the 44 split. Now, that is the worst of it this afternoon. There's some volume westbound 6440, but it's approaching Hampton out through McCausland, a little bit at 270, and some moderate volume out at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. 70 isn't bad. It looks pretty good out of downtown. Moderate volume at Lindbergh, and then again, just right at Main Street, Highway K, and then things open up again. So it's really not bad. In southbound 270, just moderate volume headed down toward Ladue Road. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. This report brought to you by The Diamond Shop. The Diamond Shop, making St. Louis sparkle for over 100 years. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Might be a good time to let the team at Banner Construction show you what a difference James Hardy can make to your home. They have an outstanding, very inspired exterior design team that can show you in your home with a free in-home consultation, custom design options to transform your home into the showplace of the neighborhood. Of course, Banner Construction, they've been around here in St. Louis since 1993, doing exceptional work, and winter's right around the corner. I mentioned this yesterday. This is the time to start thinking about James Hardy fiber cement siding and Pella windows. They're a Pella window specialist. Windows and doors for energy efficiency and for comfort and for looks, because aesthetically these windows look fantastic from both the inside and the out. So it's the pre-winter window event going on right now at Banner Construction. Get on board. If you're thinking about new windows, this is the time. It's a longer project. You got to plan for these things. It all starts with that in-home design consultation, and it's free. 314-569-1050. The website, bannerconstruction.com. Brian Kilmeade's coming up next.
Celebrate September with Zero Res and get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Take advantage of these huge savings. Spell it forward or backwards, it spells the same. Zero Res.
Setting goals for your retirement is one thing, but knowing how to achieve those goals is another.
What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? What's retirement look like for you? Because everybody, that picture is different.
For tips on building a better nest egg, listen to the All Financial Hour with Steve All, Saturday mornings at 6, here on 97.1 FM Talk.
You can also visit yourmoneymattersstl.com for more details.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from the Gelman team of eXp Realty. Selling your home, every situation is unique. Find the best options that are right for you from the real estate team who offer more options. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
Hey, it's Tom Ackerman. Where do you go for your annual eye health examination? Ophthalmology Associates, of course. Doctors Greg Birdie and Ranjan Malhotra. Dr. Robert Bersati, he's the one I saw. Or Dr. Andrew Royer. They are available to you and are there to take care of all your vision needs at Ophthalmology Associates. They're on Manchester Road, a half mile west of 270. Your vision is their business at Ophthalmology Associates. In fact, many of their patients are doctors themselves. That's why they call themselves the doctors, Ophthalmology Associates. Are your eyes itchy and scratchy? It could be more than just allergies. They're the leaders in dry eye diagnosis and treatment. They're the leaders in LASIK and discussing those procedures. And if you're having difficulty reading or driving at night, you have glare from oncoming headlights, could be early signs of cataracts, and they can talk to you about multifocal lens implants. Ophthalmology Associates, youridoc.com.
Bold conversations, no apologies. The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
Wednesday afternoon on the Mark Reardon Show. Perfect time to visit our weekly visit with Mr. Brian Kilmeade. You heard him here this morning on 97.1 FM Talk. Brian, how are you?
Oh, good.
Busy morning with this attack in Dallas. And obviously, you and I both covered a lot of these things recently when it comes to shootings. It does seem to be a bit of a trend, and I think law enforcement has to investigate that there are bullet casings that are being engraved, time after time in some of these weird shootings.
They want to be discovered. They have a message to get out. And just because they're dead, it doesn't mean they don't want to get the message out. And, it's not a mystery with ICE. We have in our country, it's now we understand, finally, you don't say defund the police. You don't say, you understand the police's role. And now everyone has come out of that fog they were in. But for some reason, it's okay to vilify ICE. So they make them the bad guys. And we're seeing it over and over again. And people take that and say, I have to take action.
Yeah, and this is one of these areas where I'm more than a little conflicted because I don't like the fact that these are agents who are wearing masks when they do their operations, but the operations on the left have gotten so sophisticated with going after some of these people and after their families, and then obviously you have a shooting that targets them. I guess I kind of understand a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, cops are. I mean, by nature of the job and their training, they're not fearless. I mean, they are close to fearless. They used to go into hostile situations, so they're not saying, okay, I'm going to act like a thug and I want to cover my face. They're going to cover their face for one reason. They don't want to be on international websites being targeted by very serious criminal activity or by people in a neighborhood that you might be living in, and they choose to do that. It's not because they want to be looked at as criminals. And it's so obvious to these lawmakers. It's so obvious why they're doing it. Do you remember wearing a mask? How annoying that was? How crazy that was? Do you think these guys want to go into these high athletic situations with a mask on? No, there's not a chance.
No.
They do it for their own families and their own security.
Every once in a while, as I sit here and do the show with my iPad, the photo feed sort of rolls through, and I see a picture where I had a mask on, and I'm so embarrassed that we went through that period. It's
I know.
It's unbelievable. All right, so this is another area where I'm conflicted. I didn't really care if Jimmy Kimmel ever came back. I'm not a fan. I don't think he's funny. I think I talked to you last week, and I did not like the Brendan Carr angle of this with the FCC and the pressure. Now, having said that, this is, again, where I'm a little conflicted because I don't like the government involved, but you have this story that's kind of running parallel to the Jimmy Kimmel story, which is maybe even bigger, and it started with a case here with Eric Schmidt, Missouri versus Biden, which is where Google and, these folks have admitted how the Biden censorship regime ran things, and you don't hear the left talking about that. So here again, I'm looking for a little principled consistency, maybe on both sides, but these are both, I think, important issues. Jimmy Kimmel's a little different. I think the other thing is a lot more egregious.
Of course. This is Twitter Files Revisited. That's why Elon Musk deserves so much credit for not saying, look what's here. He said, Schellenberger, Barry Weiss, Matt Taibbi, go in here, tell me what was going on. And they exposed it. And for those people saying, what are you talking about, Brian and Mark? Just go to the Twitter files. Just check it out. Check out what was happening during the 2 years of Trump and the 4 years of Biden until Elon Musk bought it and put it to a close. Then we have Zuckerberg come out and say, I was pressured by the Biden administration, that I was tipped off in a fake tip-off about the Hunter Biden laptop by the FBI. I knew exactly what was coming and knew it was real. Crazy. Think about this. The FBI working with the Biden team, not even the administration, to make sure the Hunter Biden laptop wasn't real. So that they were working through social media, and anybody who put the laptop story up was shadow banned or banned entirely. And then we have the Facebook go, yeah, I was pressured. My guys were getting screamed at to take down a pandemic that was different messaging than the government or anything that was pro-conservative. All right, fine. Not fine, but just let's move on. And now we find out Google comes out and goes, we were pressured too. And here's the proof. And we were told to shadow ban or ban off YouTube, the hottest thing in the country right now, and off our Google sites, and make sure that search engines put whatever conservatives thought was hot way down on the list. So they were forced to do it, they say, by the Biden administration. So where are the Democrats who say, I saw Mitch McConnell, you saw Senator Cruz, you saw Rand Paul speak up and say, I'm not happy with Kimmel and the FCC playing a role in that. I don't watch it, but I don't think the FCC should play a role in that, freedom of speech. We're the Democrats that say, I am horrified by what happened to Google, Facebook, and Twitter. None.
Zero. Zilch. Yeah. No, nobody. Well, that's another legacy media issue because, I leave here every night. I heard you fill in, I think this week for Laura's show, or was it last week? But I leave at 6:00. I tune in. I've sometimes can't help myself. So in the aftermath of Kimmel, I turn CNN on when I'm driving home. And that's all they're talking about. Last night, again, when there's pretty significant stories that are coming out about other things, but they know that I guess they think they have something. That's where I'm a little frustrated, Brian, with the FCC angle, because I feel like we've ceded some of the moral high ground on these issues that we've had to the left, and I know how much attention they're getting in the rest of the media. And let's face it, it's a lot easier for someone who's the average citizen to understand a Jimmy Kimmel situation as opposed to Google and Meta being pressured by the government, unfortunately. Are you going to spend a significant portion of your weekend? I know you must be reading Kamala's new book, Brian Kilmeade.
I did download it yesterday because I didn't want to just wait for the Atlantic to write more about it. So I did download it because I just couldn't believe what I was reading. So it really, and plus, Mark, how do you do our show and not make this one of the top things you're talking about?
No, I know.
Because it gets Democrats out of the woodwork to explain themselves. And what I love, I love this. I love the year before election when Democrats are attacking Democrats and Republicans are attacking Republicans, because you get real analysts. When it becomes one-on-one, that's when you got people just pick their team and they, their guys or their women do no wrong. But now you see Mike LaRosa, you see Harold Ford, you see David Axelrod, you see Van Jones, all saying, what is she talking about? This is the worst political move, or she has to do this. She has to show that she's willing to fight. And now you realize that anytime they criticize you or I for bringing up 2024 or the president, now they could say, blame Kamala Harris for putting this back in the bloodstream again, not James Comer for the auto pen story, which, by the way, runs simultaneous. What did you see? When did you see it? And are you going to take the fifth rather than explain it, or are you just going to lie? Jeff Zients, the chief of staff, basically admitted, I was told to level off on his schedule, don't weigh him down with too much, don't let him walk much, don't give him too much to read. What kind of you give those type of parameters to any responsible chief of staff, you come back and say, Jill, you can't do the job.
Yeah, no,
put a lid on at 11 a.m. He's not the president. That's what you do, and that's what's going to be the bigger story. That's why the auto pen story works.
Brian, can you imagine if Joe Biden was doing a speech before the UN and the teleprompter went out? What would have happened yesterday?
Oh my goodness!
I mean,
he would have left.
Yeah, I mean, he would have had to. I love that. I see headlines: Trump embarrasses himself on the stage. I thought he handled that well. I'm still a little suspicious about the escalator thing, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist. But that actually, even though I'm not a big teleprompter Trump guy, because it's a different delivery, I like it when he's just kind of free forming. That was a hell of a speech. And if people were listening out there with their headphones on, they heard a speech before the United Nations that they've never quite heard before.
I'm glad you said that, because he just laid it out. And I am done with climate change. I do think it is become a religion. And the fact that Gavin Newsom says I'm in New York because I'm meeting with climate scientists. Remember, if you brought up, I have a little problem with it. It's called weather changes. Oh, how dare you ignorant anti-science. They call us anti-science.
No, I know. Yes.
Yeah. So now that's done. Hey, guys, control your borders. Not my opinion. It's not what I ran on. It's the fact. You were losing your country. Wake up. Hey, UN. Why am I dealing with all these conflicts, India and Pakistan? Where were you? You can't even say you're ineffective. You guys didn't even try. What are you doing? You had Mike. I don't know if you saw Mike Waltz on with me today. He said they have seven different committees looking at climate change in America. And they also have George Floyd investigations. Do you believe these UN experts were walking through America trying to find out what the story is with race and George Floyd?
Wait. Hold on. Wait, the United? He said the United Nations is involved in multiple. Okay. Wow.
Please pull the clip.
Yes.
Pull the clip.
I'm going to try to find that.
From my show today.
That is unbelievable. That was on the radio show or the TV show?
I brought it back to the radio,
okay,
but I interviewed him live on TV, his first interview.
Oh, dude, I'm going to find that for sure. That is crazy. All right, what's coming up on your TV show, One Nation, Sunday night?
Well, Sylvester Stallone is going to be on. That's going to be great. And we're working on a bunch of other guests. I know I got Tommy Lahren on. He's going to do the media moments that matter the most, and Victor Davis Hanson. I got 3 slots to fill. So it's still early. It's only Wednesday.
I know. It is early, Brian Kilmeade. Thanks for coming on this afternoon. Have a great week.
Go get it, Mark.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Crews have been dealing with an accident on southbound 55 south of Arsenal. It looks to me like that one has been cleared. We had a report, though, of emergency vehicles southbound 55 just past 44. Those were in the right lane. So still some slow-moving traffic in that area. It's mainly right there at the 44-55 split, and then things open up a bit. Now, we've got westbound 40 lining up. It's approaching Hampton out through McCausland. A little bit slow eastbound 170 through Big Bend. And out west, just some moderate volume headed out toward the 70 split. And it's in pockets on 72. A little bit at Jennings Station Road, a little bit at Highway K. And if you are traveling into Illinois, things look great right now on the approach to the Poplar Street Bridge and on the bridge itself. This report is brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. Simply the finest when it comes to mirror glass and shower doors. You can't find better quality, prices, or service. Barron Mirror Glass and Door. They have the basics all the way up to the elite. Barron Mirror Glass and Door can't be beat. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I wish you could have been at the dinner in June that I had with a guy that we call Bitcoin Ben. He's a very interesting man. He's very passionate about cryptocurrency. He is exceptionally well educated, and he wants to share his knowledge and his passion with you, which is why he's bringing his 7th Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club nationwide to right here in his hometown of St. Louis. There's several in Florida. There's one in Nashville. There's one in Las Vegas. And it teaches you, like me, because with the dinner that I had with Ben, I was shooting all kinds of questions. I was easily confused. Some of it was very confusing. We've talked about cryptocurrency before, but how do you buy it? How do you safely store it? How do you avoid scams? We're going to have, as part of the Crypto Club, live classes on Bitcoin and digital assets. There's event meetups, and people who share this passion or who really want to learn more about crypto and Bitcoin can absolutely do it. So right now, the way to find out a little bit more about this is by going to bitcoinben.io. You'll find out about the club here in St. Louis, about Bitcoin Ben TV, Private Key Capital, which is coming this fall. All of this. Bitcoin, the #1 appreciating asset of all time. You want to learn more? This is the way to do it. Bitcoinben.io. That's bitcoinben.io.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need, while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing: IRS problems. And we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Mark Cox here. Let me introduce you to my friends at the Lit Cigar Lounge in St. Louis, where luxury meets comfort. Premium hand-rolled cigars, an extensive selection of rare bourbons and whiskeys and craft cocktails. It's comfortable for non-smokers, too. They have a state-of-the-art ventilation system. They have private lockers and live music every Friday night, perfect for date nights or business meetings or just winding down. Visit litstl.com.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
And this portion of the show is sponsored by our friends at Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
Consistently right.
It's a ritual.
97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
We're going to try something just a little different at 4:20 this afternoon. We're going to do Sue's News with Sue. I know that's kind of weird, right?
Crazy.
Because you've been off for a week. Ethan's been doing a fine job. Bill King is back with us this afternoon. He's a research fellow at Rice University's Baker Institute. He's written a book called Unapologetically Moderate. Been on the show before. How are you, Bill King? Welcome back.
Hey, Mark. How you doing?
Let me, before I found your column, and I want to talk to you about immigration and the number of immigrants who have left the country. Interesting, a very different perspective, and I want to share it with the audience. But any thoughts on the politics of the day and the aftermath of this assassination, this attack on the ICE facility, not too far from you down there in Texas? You got Jimmy Kimmel. It doesn't get, it keeps getting crazier, I guess is my point, Bill, doesn't it, in this country?
Well, the ironic thing is when you look at polling on all these things, there's a big chunk of the middle of America that's not crazy. They're not radical. They're not extreme. But the extreme voices get all the attention, and social media drives it. And so they're the ones that you hear about all the time. But, the guys out coaching Little League or, teaching Sunday school class or something like that, that's not news. That doesn't show up anywhere. I believe in the fundamental goodness of the American people. And I don't think that these things that you see, there's no saying that if it's in the news, it's not normal.
Yeah.
The ordinary things don't get news.
Yeah.
And so I just think we've got to take our breath. Like, I don't, I agree with some things Charlie Kirk said. I didn't agree with some things he said, but nobody should be gunned down in that situation. Or any situation really, and anybody that celebrates that or in some way thinks it was a good thing or it was justified is just they need to go back and check their soul.
I think you're right about that. All right. So this column that you wrote about immigrants, I thought was interesting because, you kind of framed it around the claim from Kristi Noem that 1.6 million 1.6 million illegal immigrants have left the United States population. She said that about a month ago. You decided to look into that just a little bit. And your takeaway was that might have been pretty accurate, but it might even be too low. And you explored some of the implications of those numbers in this country down the line, which I thought was interesting. So the number of 1.6 million you think actually is on the low side, that the work you've done shows it could be higher?
Well, first of all, Mark, the immigration numbers are crap. We don't know any of this stuff, which is an indication of a dysfunctional immigration system, that you can't even keep track of how many people are coming or going out of the country. When she said that, of course, they've got a political agenda, but the Pew Foundation is highly respected. They came out and said they thought that 1.4 million had left. The Center for Immigration in New York came out. They think people left. And then
you cut. I'm sorry, Bill, you cut out there, but their number was like 2.2 million is what you said, right?
2.2 million.
Yeah,
correct.
right. Okay. Yeah.
And by the way, of that, they thought that, like Noem, about 1.6 million of those were people that were not authorized to be here, but that about 600,000 were people that were, had the right to stay here, but decided to leave anyway, which is a very interesting number if that's true. But the other thing that came out was, and this was probably the hardest data we have, the Labor Department came out and said that since about the end of March, or maybe the 1st of March, the number of foreign-born workers working in the United States. So these are big numbers. They're numbers we've never seen.
Yeah, because Bill, you're cutting out just a little bit again here, and I apologize to the audience for that. You said that, and this is fascinating. This is where it gets into some interesting numbers. If the U.S. population declines this year, it will be the second time in the nation's history. The only other time was 2021, and that was when COVID was at its height, right?
Correct.
So the implications for that, because I like this line. You said, look, there will be those who decry a lower population trajectory as a calamity and others who celebrate it as a blessing. But the truth is that we're in uncharted territory here, right? When it comes to economics.
Right. Yeah, I know. Look, we've never had this before, so we really don't know. The, classical economic theory holds that the change in growth, economic growth, is a function of the change in population plus a change in productivity. And so we've always had a positive number for population growth. So it's been like a tide that, rises up all boats. But if all of a sudden we don't have population growth anymore, and I don't much think we're going to for some time, or it's going to be very, very low, then all of a sudden we're completely dependent on productivity to generate economic growth. And is that possible? Well, there's some reasons to believe it might be possible through AI and other technological advances, but we're really in uncharted territory. And people need to understand there's going to be disruptions to this. If the population goes down, that means less homes being built, less cars being bought, fewer groceries being bought. Everybody's business is out there dealing with the consumer is going to feel it because they're going to have fewer customers.
Yeah. So one of the numbers that was interesting, and I know that we, get these numbers from DC all the time, and one person says they're a bunch of BS and the other person clings onto them depending on the situation. But the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, which has been called into question on some of the numbers, they kind of updated demographic projections. And again, some of this is tough because you don't know exactly the number of immigrants, but this sort of caught my attention where they lowered the projection for the population in 2055 from 372 million to 367 million. So we're at about 350 million right now in this country. So over the next 30 years, 17 million new residents. That's a low number for this country.
I mean, it's historically low on a percentage basis. And, Mark, we know what they call the natural change, which is the number of births minus the number of deaths. We have birth certificates and death certificates, and so we can stack those up and add up those numbers. And we know that pretty much down to the person. But the immigration, our system is so bad, we're just guessing about how many people are coming and go out of the country. I'll tell you one thing that I'd like your audience to understand, though, is that people assume that immigrants come here and they stay here forever. That's never been true. There's always been people leaving the country, both involuntarily and voluntarily. We've always deported a fair number of people. But on top of that, people get homesick. They don't like it here. Mom gets sick. They got to go home and take care of me. You're talking about millions of people with all sorts of individual fact situations. And so we've always had, hundreds of thousands of people leaving the country every year. So even if you're not kicking a bunch of people out, if you shut off the faucet to the tub, but the drain's still open, the water runs out. And there's very few people crossing the border right now, coming here.
Right. So this kind of goes, we're kind of dancing around the edges here of you have to have a serious discussion about legal immigration and fixing the system. That does not, we don't appear to be on the cusp of that conversation right now, do we, Bill?
we haven't been on the cusp of that conversation for about 20 years. Now, look, the whole world's facing this depopulation issue that we're talking about right now. The United States has the huge advantage. Everybody in the world still wants to come here. Nobody's trying to slip into China or Russia. They don't have an immigration problem, And if we could get our immigration policy right, then we could create a valve by which we turn it up or down depending on how many we need, what kinds of people we need, the fact that they're not, criminals and people coming in the country. If we just had a functioning immigration system, it would be a tremendous advantage to us that we would always have a ready supply of people that wanted to come here if we need them. But the fact that we can't even figure it out is just, it's the two parties' fault. They both think this is a political ploy for them, and so they just keep the problem out there.
Yeah, and that's what's unfortunate. Look, I really do think deep down, and Trump gets into trouble with some on the right. I think he understands the implication, what we're talking about here. But
of course, he's in the hospitality business.
Yeah,
of course, he understands it. Yeah.
But fixing it and managing, even slimmer number of Republicans, certainly by the day in the House, is not an easy thing to do. And now you get the midterms just around the corner. I like the column, though. It really explored some things that I hadn't thought about. Bill King, always great to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mark.
Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got debris northbound 55 before Bayless. Looks to be something orange, kind of there in the left lane, so take care on the way by. But southbound 55 is slow, headed for Bates in the construction zone, and then it's open to the south of there. Southbound 270, mainly moderate volume in pockets from Page down through Gravois. Southbound 170 has slow pockets from Olive down through 64. Now, westbound 6440 out of downtown lines up near Kings Highway out through McCausland, some moderate volume, then at 270. A little bit as you head between 94 and the 70 split. 70 westbound, moderate volume, Jennings Station Road and at K and at Wentzville. And if you're headed into Illinois, there's a little bit of a delay headed for the Poplar downtown, but it's not much, and it's fine on the bridge itself. This report brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Your garage door is always there for you, rain or shine. Are you taking it for granted? Is it screeching and whining for attention? For same-day service, call 314-781-5200 or online, overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
This report is sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis.
Sunday, the Chiefs are back on 97.1 FM Talk. Tune in for the game at 3:25 with pregame coverage starting at 2. 97.1 FM Talk this Sunday with the Chiefs. Game time 3:25.
This special alert is for all Americans who own a vehicle. If you have a warranty that's about to expire or no warranty coverage at all, this message is for you. It's time to stop worrying about future car repairs today. Your vehicle is essential, but unexpected breakdowns can derail your plans and your wallet. It's time to future-proof your ride with CarShield. CarShield offers a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that saves drivers thousands from out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Imagine if your engine quits or your transmission fails. You could pay a fraction of the repair cost. This protection plan is at an all-time low, and to give you even more peace of mind, drivers who activate today also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Don't wait for a breakdown to drain your savings. Future-proof your car with CarShield today and drive with confidence. Call CarShield for your free quick quote. Call 800-908-8646. That's 800-908-8646. What do you have to lose? Call 800-908-8646. That's 800-908-8646. Again, 800-908-8646.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid residents in need of care at home. If you need assistance with daily activities, you can receive in-home care from a loved one that lives with you and they get paid. Through Medicaid, Freedom Care allows you to choose who provides your care at home in St. Louis, and they get paid weekly. Available to eligible Medicaid members in St. Louis. Call now to check your eligibility. It can be your daughter, son, a close relative, or trusted friend helping you with cooking, transportation, laundry, and other activities in your own home. You get the help you need, and your caregiver gets paid. Freedom Care has over 7,000 five-star Google reviews and is a leading choice in St. Louis for in-home care. If you have Medicaid and want to receive great care from a loved one, go to freedomcare.com or for faster service, call 314-597-1749. 314-597-1749. That's 314-597-1749.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Protect your liver and give it the support it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or at newnordicusa.com.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, one of the stories that we've been covering all day long is a shooter with a rifle opened fire from a roof onto a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement location in Dallas. It was not an ICE detention center. It was a different type of facility. There were 4 people shot. Originally, they said 2 dead. Now they're saying 1 dead and the shooters, several people in the hospital. And then Kash Patel, the FBI director, released a photo on social media that shows a bullet containing the words anti-ICE. Why would anyone in this country, I can't really understand how anyone in this country would be inspired to go after ICE agents. I mean, the rhetoric is so toned down by the Democrats on this.
Every single ICE agent who's engaged in this aggressive overreach, no matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes, will, of course, be identified. This is not the 1930s.
Secret police who are masked, who are intimidating, who are scaring people. These Gestapo-like tactics. This is Gestapo-like behavior.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the street.
All right, I can play you another 60 seconds of that with Democrats going back and forth, calling this the Gestapo and, making the Nazi references. J.D. Vance addressing that earlier today.
Because here's what happens when Democrats like Gavin Newsom did say that these people are part of an authoritarian government. When the left-wing media lies about what they're doing, when they lie about who they're arresting, when they lie about the actual job of law enforcement, what they're doing is encouraging crazy people to go and commit violence. You don't have to agree with my immigration policies. You don't have to agree with Donald Trump's immigration policies. But if your political rhetoric encourages violence against our law enforcement, you can go straight to hell, and you have no place in the political conversation of the United States of America.
You have mayors and governors. Governor J.B. Pritzker. Yeah, this is one thing I will say about Kara, and we were hoping that this was going to be the case. I had, you missed, yesterday I had the new St. Louis County prosecutor, Melissa Price-Smith, in studio, and I like this also. She's not running her office, and Kara Spencer's not running the mayor's office by trying to get attention on national issues, right?
Nice.
Yeah,
she can do her job.
Right, exactly.
Yes, that's nice.
So this isn't interesting. We talk about the media bias all the time. J.D. Vance shares this story about NBC News, which is fascinating and disgusting.
Maybe the worst of all the fake news, and I'm sure we have an NBC reporter out there. It's a tough competition, my friends, to be clear. But maybe the worst, I said maybe the worst, is NBC News. And they said that immigration enforcement, you know what they said? That immigration enforcement had detained a 5-year-old autistic girl in order to get to that girl's father. Turned out that story was a complete fabrication. It was a complete dishonest lie.
Shocking.
But when you go around and lie about our law enforcement and you tell them that they're mistreating 5-year-old girls, what do you think is going to happen? When Democratic politicians incur doxing, when they encourage us to unmask ICE enforcement officers, what do you think is going to happen? When the mayor of Los Angeles encourages violent protesters to get in the face of our law enforcement, what do you think is going to happen? What's going to happen is political violence, and political violence has gotten out of control in this country.
I mean, how can you deny that at this point, especially with all these, bullet casings and the markings that are on the casings? So we'll have more on that with Fox News. After we come back, Sue will be doing a Wednesday edition of Sue's News. Alex Rich will visit with us. I got a couple of stories that I've been holding off on because I thought they'd be really good for you. One has to do with the downfall of the Broadway musical, because these musicals
in general,
yeah, it's pretty. When I'm going to shoot some numbers out to you, it was the New York Times, I think, did this story a couple of days ago, and there's a lot of the newer musicals, probably most that you've never even heard of, that have failed miserably. I mean, they've lost millions of dollars, but then even bringing back, some of the old musicals and the classics, I think there's less of an incentive right now because the numbers are quite staggering. So we'll get to that because Alex Rich will be here. He's a fan of musicals. Believe it or not, I'm a fan of musicals. Kind of get the man card taken away. We have that and a bunch of other stuff, plus Sue's News in the next hour.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
If you are just headed out, it's not bad yet. Westbound 70, a little bit of moderate volume at Jennings Station Road. There was an accident kind of at the Rock Road at 270. That's caused some volume on the Rock Road northbound. And then westbound 70, moderate volume past 94 at K and moderate volume at Wentzville. Same thing on 6440, just slow pockets. Kings Highway in pockets all the way out through 70. And southbound 270, it's still moderate volume, but it is Page down through Doherty Ferry, and 55 is pretty slow. We've had issues there tonight, slowing from about Arsenal down through Bates. Now, there's some volume eastbound 64 headed for the Poplar Street Bridge, and then a little bit coming off the bridge on the Illinois side. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan of McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyhomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
Right around this time last year that Mike Reynolds and his team from Michael's Flooring was doing a flooring project in my home. It was October of last year, so not quite now, but they did a great job. They knocked it out of the park. If you want some rave reviews, you want to hear some other customers of Michael's rave about the work they did, just go online to igotfloor.com. Here's Wayne, who says they did exactly what we wanted. The tech Dylan doing the work found some small issues with our flooring under the old carpet and helped repair those so we could proceed with the install. He had a good job ahead of him for 2 days, completed it all great. The job looks amazing. Definitely would use them again, and we recommend them. Kevin says, look, answered all our questions, pointed out items, made suggestions, very competitive quote, two-man team, did a great job installing, very satisfied with the entire process. You will be too. They have a great team of experienced carpet and flooring professionals. So if you need new flooring in the St. Louis area, check out one of the 3 great locations, Old Town St. Peters, Darden Prairie in West County on Olive, and the website, igotfloor.com.
Have you been notified that your subsidy for Obamacare health insurance is going away? Well, you can leave now while you're still healthy and qualify for much better individual plans. Greg Hammonds at greghammonds.com has been helping people get affordable health insurance with great coverage for over 35 years. Greg offers private health insurance plans that are not on the ACA marketplace. You can pick your doctors. For most claims, you won't even pay a deductible, and they're 30 to 60% lower cost than Obamacare. One more thing, there's no tax penalty at the end of the year. Greg even has plans that are guaranteed acceptance. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg at 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan by you, not the government.
Annie Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Next time your furnace or AC is on the fritz, you know what to do.
Call Jerry Kelly, because they're fast. And just by calling, we'll be helping to end Alzheimer's disease. That's what those purple vans are all about.
Yes, Jerry Kelly is friendly too. They give a portion of every job they do to Alzheimer's research and support services.
So call the Fix It Fast guys at Jerry Kelly. Ask for the purple van, and we'll all have it going on. Find out more at
jerrykelly.com. We have Sue's News, something a little different from the last week. Sue will be doing Sue's News. Ethan gets today off because Sue is actually back in the fold. 4 o'clock hour, just around the corner, 97.1 FM Talk.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
A message from the president to Democrats. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Trump blaming radical left Democrats demonizing law enforcement for rising threats and violence, calling on them to stop the rhetoric in a post after the deadly shooting at a Dallas ICE facility early today. Vice President J.D. Vance.
The very people who keep us safe ought to be honored and protected and praised by Democrats and Republicans alike. It is time to stop the rhetorical assault on law enforcement.
The Dallas shooter was on a nearby rooftop where he was found dead after shooting 3 detainees, killing one, an anti-ICE message found written on a bullet. A stalemate continues over government spending.
With a federal funding deadline less than a week away, Republicans and Democrats are blaming each other for a potential government shutdown on October 1st.
I mean, that's all outrageous. And it points to one thing. Republicans have decided to shut the government down.
Top House Democrat Hakeem Jeffries points to President Trump deciding to cancel a meeting with congressional Democrats this week. The president had agreed to an Oval Office sit-down for Thursday, but now says such a meeting would not be productive, calling Democrats' demands for a short-term spending bill unserious.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. The Justice Department said to be considering possible charges against former FBI Director James Comey, but a source tells Fox a grand jury has not yet voted.
We are told that the statute of limitations for lying to Congress is 5 years, and authorities are looking at bringing a charge relating to Comey's testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee on September 30th, 2020. September 30th, 2025 is early next week, so the statute of limitations is running out for a charge to be brought.
Fox's David Spunt. America is listening to Fox News.
Honey, that flu keeping you up? Did you take NyQuil Intense Flu?
Nah, I got this.
Okay, I don't got this.
Yeah, you need NyQuil Intense Flu.
Undo your flu with NyQuil Intense Flu. NyQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms so you can sleep.
You do got this.
NyQuil Intense Flu. The nighttime sniffling, aching fever. Best sleep with the flu medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal. Book telehealth if she feels.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insured.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Still a little bit unsettled out there with our weather, but the rain pattern is getting smaller and smaller, partly to mostly cloudy skies. Keep a chance of a couple of spotty showers, even a rumble of thunder in a few spots. 70s this evening, 62 for the low. On Thursday, partly sunny, nothing more than a spot shower. Thursday's mainly a dry day, 77. Thursday night clear and excellent, 58. Friday sunny and 80. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Yeah, we got Sue Thomas back after a few days off, so she's going to handle Sue's news. We thank Ethan for the fine work that he did when you were out, Sue. He does quite well.
Good.
And he, gets Fred off the hook, so Fred's happy about that as well. So that's coming up here in a few minutes. Alex Rich, our friend who visits with us on a Wednesday. It happens to be a Wednesday, and he brings with him into the studio some kind of cool entertainment-related news.
It is.
That's about him, of course. It's
Sure.
it's all about
That's the
you.
only person I ever have news about.
But test this name out because I knew his name. I was not really familiar with him, but maybe Sue will know. Maybe Fred also.
I think Fred might. Do you
Okay.
guys know Phil Rosenthal?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody Feed Phil on
Yeah,
Netflix
that's how
and all
I know
that.
him.
Okay, so there you go.
I did not know somebody.
How do you
okay.
know him? What
Fred,
do you
how
know
do
him
you
as,
know?
Fred?
Is he a sports guy?
No.
So this is a different guy.
Different
Yeah.
Phil Rosenthal.
No, but he is Somebody Feed
So you
Phil.
know who he is.
Yeah, because of Somebody Feed Phil.
Okay, and that is give me the concept of the show. Does he?
He goes around and he's usually in different countries.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he kind of wanders around and goes into restaurants and you kind of watch him eat. And what does he get? And what does Phil like? And he's super nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's great. And he also created Everybody Loves Raymond. So that's kind of his baby as well.
I bet he's made a little bit of money.
He's
from
made a
that
little bit of
deal.
money.
Are you kidding me?
Skosh.
Wow.
But he,
I'd love
I
to see those monthly checks.
I
wouldn't
know,
you?
right? I had him on my Jews in the Lou podcast a couple weeks ago because he was promoting his live concert. He comes to St. Louis. He does a whole tour. He comes to the city and he basically does a show that he just talks, and it's an open conversation really with the audience and the people, and it's funny and it's storytelling and all that stuff. So after the podcast, his team actually reached out to me, and in every city they go to, they have a local moderator that sits on stage and guides the entire show with Phil, and I'm the guy. I'm doing that
really cool.
Saturday.
That is fun.
Yeah, Saturday night at the factory.
So what do you have to prep it all? Or are
Oh
you
God, they
giving
sent me a bunch of
guidance?
talking
Oh,
points.
yeah?
A bunch of talking points. I've watched the final two seasons, the last two seasons.
Look at
Or
you.
not the final ones, but the last two seasons of Somebody Feed Phil. I've watched my fair share of Everybody Loves Raymond growing up.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, there's some talking points on there, some good stories so any advice is welcome.
Here's my advice. I've done things like this before. Don't suck.
That's always a
that would
good
be number
one.
one. Personal question. You don't have to. Are you getting paid for this gig?
I'm getting paid for
Good
it.
for you, because here's what happened to me. And this was, I'm still glad that I did it, but something similar happened to me several years ago. This was before COVID. And I had tickets for Lady Gaga, and I really wanted to see Gaga because I had seen her once before, but I was at the very top of the Enterprise Center. I had freebies from Y98. First of all, I don't know why I did that, but it was ridiculous. So I have really good seats for Gaga, but John Cleese is coming into town, and they're doing over at the Opera House, they're doing a screening of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and then a Q&A after the screening of the movie with John Cleese. So same thing happens.
Yeah.
They come to me, say, hey, we do like a local moderator thing. And would you be willing to, be up on stage with John Cleese? And I said, man, I don't know. I think so. I want to do this. This is an amazing opportunity, right? And Becky took someone else to Gaga. And I did it, and I had fun. And he brings me into his dressing room about 45 minutes before the show. We just shot the what. We got to know each other, and it was awesome. Really comfortable conversation. I didn't get paid a dime for that, though. Let me tell you. It's a great scam that John had. You can go from city to city, get local moderators.
I
know, but still.
and-
I mean, I'm on stage for an hour with this guy handling. I did a pretty good job, too. There was a timing thing that he coached me through, and I kind of hit it out of the park. But then, no, nothing. But it was fun. Look, it was a great memory. He was awesome. He really was.
To pay you, but then they met you.
They didn't plan to pay me. No, they did not plan to pay me.
No, it'll be cool. I'm excited about it.
So listen to this, because we all, I think everyone in this room has. Have you seen a show on Broadway, Alex?
Actually on Broadway, I have not.
Okay, but
surprisingly
you've been to the Fox and you've seen musicals. Fred, you've been to Broadway, right? So you've been to Broadway. So this was kind of a stunning story that I saw a couple of days ago in the New York Times. The Broadway musical is in trouble with the cost of staging song and dance spectacles skyrocketing and audiences drawn to older hits. None of the musicals that opened last season have made a profit. Fewer are planned this season. So listen to some of the math here. They say musical theater, long the bread and butter of Broadway, is struggling. None of the 18 commercial musicals that opened on Broadway last season have made a profit yet. Some still could, but several have been spectacular flameouts. The new musicals Tammy Faye, Boop, and Smash each cost about $20 million to bring to the stage. Each was gone less than 4 months after opening. All three lost their entire investments. Then they talk about the revivals. So they had a revival of Cabaret that was budgeted for up to $26 million. It featured a very costly conversion of a theater into a nightclub-like setting. They threw in the towel at a total loss. A revival of Gypsy for $19.5 million that starred Audra McDonald, and the reviews were really strong, closed last month without recouping the investment.
Dang.
Even a buzzy, they describe it as a buzzy production of Sunset Boulevard, which won the Tony for Best Musical, failed to make back the $15 million it cost to mount. And the problem is that like new musicals are really endangered, because you have, and the numbers they use here, 46 new musicals have opened on Broadway since COVID, costing $800 million to bring to the stage. Only 3 have become profitable this year. So that's kind of staggering, isn't it?
It is. And I haven't been on Broadway. When you were saying that, I was thinking, well, I'm just seeing Broadway shows, but different parts of the country. But I remember a story coming out. Was it pre-COVID? Was it during COVID? Anyway, the skyrocketing prices of tickets to this stuff in Broadway, it was outrageous. So I kind of wonder how much of a factor that is. But the fact that the old standbys aren't doing well kind of makes you wonder.
Well, so they say, look, some of them are still doing well, and I got to play Wicked here because we got our friend Norbert Leo Butts, who's Steve's brother, who's the original Fiero in Wicked. They say Wicked is doing okay. Hamilton, welcome back Leslie Odom Jr., who won a Tony for originating that role of Aaron Burr. But listen, to your point, a top ticket price for that is $1,200. And it's rising now. I guess this was at the start of his run. It's rising to $1,500, which appears to be a new high for Broadway. They say The Lion King and Aladdin are still strong. A return of Mamma Mia is packing in ABBA fans. But, they quote Andrew Lloyd Webber in here, basically saying Broadway is not a business anymore. The Phantom of the Opera, Cats, Evita, Sunset Boulevard, he did all those. The statistics are terrible. I'm very worried. I look at the economics of this, and I don't see how it can sustain. So to your point, Sue, like it's a variety of factors, I think. But man, I said something before the top of the hour. Do I get my man card taken away because I like the Broadway musical? So. Congressman Bob Onder said, Mark, you definitely, he sent me a message. So you definitely do not get your man card taken away for enjoying musicals. He says Allison and he saw Sound of Music last week at the Trump. And he means at the Kennedy Center last week. It was awesome. I thought that was kind of funny.
I saw in the past couple of years, I've gone to a couple of different places. I think Ridley Pearson's Peter and the Starcatcher.
I saw that on Broadway.
Really
it was technically, I think it was off Broadway, technically maybe, but that was such a great
Book of
show.
Mormon was really good. And a lot of people there. It didn't seem like they were hurting for people.
How much was it, Fred? Sorry.
I don't know. That's
they are expensive.
That's a Marie thing.
That's what Judith Anderson, who's
Fred
one of our
knows
account
somebody.
executives, she said the same thing. She goes to New York all the time. She said it's hard to get tickets, and you know,
you go to that booth
right
at Times Square and get them cheap the day of.
I have
That's
seen I've seen so many musicals. I'm trying to think about. I saw The Lion King on Broadway. I saw Cats actually at the New London where it opened in London. I've seen Oklahoma on Broadway. I saw Bernadette Peters and Annie Get Your Gun, Kinky Boots, My Fair Lady. Norbert was in My Fair Lady in that revival from like 5 years ago. Rent. So I've seen a fair number. I've never seen, this is so weird. I've never seen a drama in New York on Broadway. I've seen some here, like at the Playhouse here at Webster. But nothing on Broadway, which I've always kind of wanted to do that. But I thought that those numbers were just quite staggering. You know, the cost to produce these shows is enormous. And you start putting it together if you're only going to have the hits. And I guess that's what they're going to do. You know, you'll keep replaying Mamma Mia and some of the hits. They say they can make money on those. But they also point out in this story that Six and MJ, which just played the Fox, right? They got $10 million from the federal government in the form of shuttered venue operator grants designed to help the arts recover from the shutdown, because this is, some of this was going on in COVID. And Juliet, which is another show, benefited from a $3 million tax credit through a post-pandemic program. So some of these shows recoup money, that way. But they say that 90% of the post-pandemic era's new musicals will end their runs having lost some or all of their investors' money. Oof, that's kind of sad if you look at the future of Broadway. Sue's News is coming up next.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Westbound 70, a little slow at Jennings Station Road, past 94, and a slow pocket or two out through Wentzville. 64 has more volume than that, but it's Kings Highway in pockets on out through 70. Now, there was an accident reported kind of as you approach 94, some slow-moving traffic there. Southbound 270, moderate volume. That's from Page down through Doherty Ferry, but slowing again south of 44. 55 slows at Bates, and 44 westbound. The most of the volume there is right in front of the Arch grounds. And a jam eastbound 64 headed for the Poplar Street Bridge, but it's actually because of an accident at 18th Street. That is what's causing a delay. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. They have the largest, most beautiful showroom in all of St. Louis, full of the latest, most custom designs in Chesterfield Valley. And there you'll see why they say creativity unlimited, quality unsurpassed. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
September makes me think of football, and they are celebrating at Zero Res. Right now, you can get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at $129 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning through the end of the month of September. That's great. Of course, you're going to have people over to watch the big game. You want to have the house clean. Call the cleaning heroes at Zero Res to clean up all of those fumble moments you might have in your house. They can clean up the dust, the dander, the bacteria in your carpet from a whole summer full of fun. And then they'll get the yuck out of your air ducts as well. So let them work on your carpet, your tiles, your upholstery, your hardwood. Every surface in your home can be Zero Resified. It is time to give them a call today. 314-474-2020. Tell them you want the 97.1 special. That's 314-474-2020. Schedule your appointment online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is, who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardy contractor and Pella Window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. Now hiring qualified carpenters.
What's your favorite 4-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times dealing with this crazy world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our 4-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. And hope that your retirement plans don't take a back seat. You've watched inflation soar, and maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments. Find out how you may be able to save big on taxes. And find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call today to set up a meeting. 314-373-1598. That's 314-373-1598. Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory firm in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
We get it. Attention spans just aren't what they used to be. Heads in social media and eyes on Netflix. But what do people do with their ears? Well, for one, they're listening to audio. Americans spend 4.4 hours with audio every day. Oh, and you want the proof? Well, you just sat through this ad that's now approaching 30 seconds. What could you say to a potential customer in 30 seconds? Let Odyssey put together a media plan tailor-made for your unique marketing needs. Advertise with Odyssey. Visit ads.odyssey.com.
Mark Reardon, Sue Thomas. This is the Mark Reardon Show.
We will revisit the Jimmy Kimmel faux apology with Curtis Houck from Newsbusters at 5:04. Thomas Helbig's going to swing by 2 weeks from tomorrow night. Oh, I keep saying a week from tomorrow night. You guys, I'm telling you, I'm so challenged on time right now. I don't even know what damn day it is. A week from tomorrow night is October 2nd. See, we're closing this month out very quickly. We have our final Protecting Your Retirement event, and Thomas is going to promote that in about an hour. Look who's back here this afternoon.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
Well, exciting news. It's National Cherries Jubilee Day. Does anybody know what that is?
No.
I have no
I'm not sure
idea.
I can
I
define
should have
it.
looked it up because I thought, wait, all right, what is Cherries Jubilee?
We've all heard it for years. I've probably even had it, but I don't know if I can define it.
Well, it's a classic dessert, Mark, of a warm cherry sauce, often prepared table size and flambéed, served over vanilla ice cream.
I feel like we've heard this word flambéed on this show before.
Well, you know what it is. It's set on fire.
Yeah.
And I just don't believe I've ever ordered that. I think I would like it. Fred, you've not had it? Well, you're not sure.
No, I haven't.
It sounds good to me.
You know what? I think I might have had it like
Really?
on yeah, I think we had it on the cruise on Greece.
Look at that.
Something like that, though.
The Cherries
Yeah,
Jubilee.
yeah.
Wow, that's cool. All right, and it's also National Punctuation Day. In a punctuation poll, say one. Most people say that they use periods and capital letters often, but rarely use the colons and semicolons. 71% of Americans claim they're good at writing. Fred, do you use a colon or a semicolon?
Oh, I do.
I do too.
I do.
Thank you.
In what regard do you use it?
Would I do a list or something?
Yeah,
like that?
yeah, okay, all
I
right,
try and
all
do a
right.
play on
More of a
words or
colon guy
something.
than a semicolon guy myself. But
That's fair.
yeah,
That's fair.
yeah,
It's
sounds a little
more of a
personal.
hard
I would agree.
stop.
Right,
Yeah.
it is.
Yes. Well, the number one type of writing Americans do is
Texting.
that is correct.
But I would say I am not a good punctuational texter.
I don't think many people
I don't
are.
put many periods or spaces spaces, obviously. Come on.
But people-
but commas, I throw
You know-
people off all the time. Annie gives me trouble all the time. She's like, your sentences blend together. People don't know your emotion or how you feel when I'm like, But her, on the other hand, she writes in all lower cases, which I take that as a tone.
Capital letters?
Not even a capital, nothing.
Oh,
Her keyboard is
interesting.
set. You know how most keyboards are set.
Yeah.
Well, hers is set where even the first letter of a new sentence is lower. It bothers me. I tell her it bothers me.
Well, she may have been burned by false capitalization. That's happened to us all.
People used to make fun of me though when I do voice to text. I say period, and I say
I do too. Yes,
but
yes.
I was mocked for that years ago.
Oh well, you shouldn't be.
Thank you.
I've started to do it recently, and I did. This is true. I'm not just making this up. I did start to think, who else does this a lot, or where have I heard this?
It's me.
And it's you. And then I thought, oh no, I'm turning into Mark.
I always say question mark when I'm like asking a question.
Same. But
I'll use I'll say quotation, and they'll put the little quotations there.
Wait, I didn't know they did that.
Oh,
I'll do
yeah,
that.
I haven't done that.
Okay, I'll
Sure.
try that.
If you say quote Fred unquote, it'll put the
Really?
quotation. Sure.
Okay, I'm going to move into that world.
I think it does. Well, you have a communist phone though. Don't forget.
Well,
you don't
that's
have
true.
the iPhone.
That's true.
Yeah, that's a good point. On this day in history, this is how old this show is. Play the music. And well, it's not really
Well, there's
music.
two of them. Which one would you like?
It's not music.
Does it involve a ship or something else?
No.
Okay.
1968, 57 years ago, the debut of 60 Minutes, one of the very few, if not the only show that has no theme music.
That's all I had.
Just
there.
the ticking of the clock.
And now all I was given is 6 seconds, so I have to keep hitting it over and over and over again.
Okay, it was in 1968 when Harry Reasoner and Mike Wallace hosted the debut of 60 Minutes, which has since gone down the tubes.
Both legends. Yeah, I mean, look, I loved Mike Wallace. Alex, you don't even know who Mike Wallace is. You know who Chris Wallace is probably, but Mike Wallace was just hardcore. He was, not afraid to challenge anyone. But in modern era, you don't know if you could even trust those guys back then because you know how biased they are right now.
That's true too. And then this is what you were talking about. 48 years ago today, in 1977, this show premiered.
One of the greatest shows in American history, ladies and gentlemen, especially when you're 12 or 13 years old. Let me tell you.
Exciting
and I still remember the theme song.
Come aboard.
Yeah.
Come aboard.
We're expecting you.
Yes, we are.
We're expecting you.
Oh my God. What date was this? What year?
This was 48 years ago today in 1977, the premiere of The Love Boat on ABC.
Was Fantasy Island on before that?
After.
What, no, but I mean, after it in the schedule, but did Fantasy Island premiere before The Love Boat? Is what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
know about
because
that.
the Love Boat was what, 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock Love Boat, 9 o'clock.
The boat would take you to the island. Huh?
Oh, it would take you to the island.
Oh,
yeah,
I love it.
We were not alled to watch it.
Oh, really?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Well, you had good parents.
Yeah, that's true.
I was allowed to watch it. That's really had no seriously without getting too creepy here. But look, you're a young boy on the cusp of puberty, and you see all these babes on the Love Boat.
Oh, I didn't.
I kind of a crush on Julie.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, she was
we
cute.
just went to the neighbors to watch it.
Fred, would you like to comment on the Love Boat and the cast members?
Charo was on a lot. She said, trying to distract everyone.
She was on all the game shows and on the Love Boat like every week.
Yes, it's like, why are you?
Do you know
are
who
you
Charo
a character
is?
or
Do you know who Charo
yourself?
No, I'm just enjoying watching you guys, go
but
at
no,
this.
seriously, do you know who Charo is?
No.
Okay, you gotta look that up. Gucci. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's it. And why? Why was she on there? So, well, I guess that answers my own question.
Yeah, how did she become a thing in the first place?
She
Right.
could afford cruises.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe that's
well,
it.
that must be it. Yep.
That was a great show. Can you stream the Love Boat anywhere?
Okay, listen, I don't think it holds up.
No, it doesn't. Of course
I mean,
it doesn't.
there's
it would
no
be
way
awful.
It was great then.
No, it was terrible.
No, it was not good.
Everything I said previously was just I was sarcastic.
Right.
Yes.
I liked Gopher too.
Well, Gopher
a
was
good guy.
nice.
Gopher was
Yes.
then he became a politician in
That's
Iowa.
right, in Iowa.
Fred, what was Grandy?
Grandy
something like that.
Grudy. It's been a while, but in February, NASA plans on sending people out of low Earth orbit for the first time in about 50 years. Like, think about Apollo 17 in 1972. Now, this is the Artemis 2 mission. It will be 10 days long, 4 astronauts, and they launch from Kennedy Space Center in Florida and go around the moon and back. They don't land on the moon. That's what I read.
Oh.
What?
If I'm going that far.
Yeah, what's the
Right?
point?
That's right. I want to
So
stop.
I'm like, okay.
I mean, I stop at my buddy's house if I'm like, if it's on the way to
Right.
something. If the moon's right there,
I know.
why not stop off?
Yeah, they're calling it the trip around the moon. And I'm not sure I really understand. The astronauts are supposed to be like the human guinea pigs. So they're going to monitor how their bodies are affected by space. But my question when I read this was, but we've already landed on the moon. Don't we already know this stuff? I don't get it. But
Probably
maybe
just a follow-up visit.
Thank you, Fred. It must be a follow-up visit. Okay, now since I've got Alex here, I'm going to bring this up. Okay, apparently they've been testing it for years in the minor leagues. Your thoughts about the robot umpiring?
Oh, how about that?
People, Mark Reardon, hello.
No, I was waiting for Alex.
What
to
do
chime
we
in. We
think?
talked
I
about
mean,
it. We talked about it yesterday. I'm fine with it. I really now what they rolled out is there's going to be 2 challenges, right?
Yes,
a game,
correct.
And I don't know. I think you use the technology as long as it doesn't become. You can even these football challenges. They've gotten a lot faster.
Yeah, I'm
where they
okay
make
with
decisions.
it. I'm okay with it.
2 challenges a game. It's really robot challenge umpiring, right? I mean, it's not like it's the whole game.
No.
So
right.
it's I think they're just going to ease into it.
And robot umpire seems like a bad name for it because, I mean, you still have the regular umpires on the field.
Exactly.
At least for this year.
Yeah.
Next year.
I
I mean,
bet
let's
they're
face it though.
sweating.
Eventually,
Yeah, it's not going to be people.
probably not.
No.
I mean, there are a lot of games that come down to 1 or 2 balls or strikes. Honestly,
do.
look at
Yeah,
look
they
at
do.
David Freese' home run was just one difference of a strike.
Well, that's true too. And JD Power's annual airport satisfaction survey giving us the top 3 airports. And this is food and how they deal with people. Phoenix, number 3, Detroit, number 2, Minneapolis, St. Paul, number
Really?
1. And okay, here's today's random fact. There are at least 25 student athletes in America whose parents have named them ESPN. The highest profile one, a Bowling Green U linebacker, Gideon ESPN Lampron.
Oh my
His
God.
family pronounces it Espen.
There you go. It does not surprise me. People are crazy. There you go. Sue's News for Wednesday in the books.
Smile on a friendly shore.
I'm Chad Robinson with Your Money Now. Lithium America's share price soared to more than 100% as the Trump administration seeks an equity stake in the mining company that's based in Vancouver, Canada. The White House proposed the equity stake as Lithium America's renegotiates the terms of a $2.2 billion loan from the Department of Energy for its Thacker Pass mine in Nevada. Ford Motor is reportedly trying to boost sales of its F-150 pickup truck before the end of the third quarter by offering special financing to consumers with less than perfect credit ratings. The move includes offering customers with credit scores below 620 lower interest rates typically offered to those with better scores. On Wall Street, stocks were lower today with the Dow falling more than 170 points. The S&P 500 slid by 18 and the tech-heavy NASDAQ lost 75. Crude oil futures for November up 2.2% below $65 a barrel. That's Your Money Now.
What are you doing every day to support your liver? If you enjoy sweets, fast food, alcohol, or take any medications, that's a vital question to ask. Hi, I'm Sherry Torkas, pharmacist and health author. For over 30 years, I've helped people make informed decisions about their health, especially concerning prevention and long-term wellness. Supporting your liver isn't just a wellness trend, it's a daily essential. That's why I recommend Active Liver by New Nordic. It's made with plant-based ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and globe artichoke, herbs clinically studied for their protective and restorative effects on the liver. Active Liver blends traditional herbal wisdom with modern scientific research. Not all supplements are created equal. I trust Active Liver because it's backed by science, meets strict quality standards, and delivers true daily liver support.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
I love some of our awesome small business sponsors, like Michael's Baths is a new sponsor to the show. I got to know Mike Gower. His daughter Melody is in the office. That's who will answer your call when you call. And if you have a bathroom project, you want to get rid of some grout and tiles, replace some shower walls, you want to, get rid of a tub. That seems to be the fashionable thing. People just want to go to showers. If you have a shower that's outdated, just wasting space, maybe unsafe as, mom and dad get a little older, Michael's Baths here in St. Louis, they come in 30 to 50% less than the competition on a regular basis. Plus, if you mention my show, they're offering a free shower door or $500 off of your project. Now, they're scheduling out a couple of months, but Tony and Mark, this is another thing that's impressive because Michael's Baths, family owned and operated. Tony and Mark have been with the company 10 plus years. They'll come out and do the estimate and then, get the crew in there to do all the work. They do work very, very quickly. So check out Michael's Baths today. All they do is bathrooms. You get that free shower door or $500 off when you mention my name, 636-775-0800, michaelsbaths.com.
Hey fans, Chip Carey and Chris Kerber here. FanDuel Sports Network's your home for the Cardinals and the Blues. Thanks for watching the Cardinals all summer long.
Now Blues hockey is coming up. The Blues open October 9th, and there are more ways to watch this season.
Subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network to stream Cardinals and Blues games. You can also stream on Prime Video by adding a FanDuel Sports Network subscription.
Or watch through a TV provider, including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more.
Learn more at FanDuelSportsNetwork.com.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. Divorce touches all areas of your life, your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you are facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
From Cottleville to Maryville, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Alex, we were wrapping up. Alex Rich is here with us. We were wrapping up Sue's News, talking a little bit about the changes with the umpires. Did you see now, Alex? We point out every once in a while you played collegiate baseball at Indiana, and you were a catcher. So did you see what happened to David Fry last night in Cleveland?
That was rough.
Oh my gosh! Have
it
you
hit
seen
him
this,
right? Well,
Sue?
I've seen it happen in real life too. This happened because the ball essentially skipped off the bat that he was trying to bunt and hit him back.
Yeah, so
forehead.
David Fry is the designated hitter for the Indians. I'm going to still say the Indians, is facing one of the best pitchers in baseball, Skubal from Detroit. Detroit's just been on this phenomenal collapse. Like, it's unbelievable. They had a 15.5 game lead on the Tribe, and they lost it in, like the last few weeks. But anyway, Skubal is pitching, and to Alex's point, David Fry is in the bunting position, and he takes a 99-mile-per-hour fastball to the face. I mean, right into
Did they
the
say
face.
it hit him? Did it hit direct or did it skip off the bat? Either way, it's terrible because, in my opinion, when it skips off the bat and it's like ultimately a foul tip that catches you right in the head.
It is a foul tip, yeah. So it says
it catches more speed.
Right. So they say that's an excellent point because I wasn't sure on that. He's tried to square around to bunt, and the foul tip struck him in the nose and the mouth area. And Skubal was horrified. He comes off the mound. Sometimes these guys, you hit a player and, you don't even really look at him because it's a situation. But, man, this was really, really bad. He's going to be out for several weeks.
He squares. He tried to bunt, and it hit the bat and then hit him in the face. Or did it hit him square in the face? I don't know. I'm not sure. It's not good. Skubal threw his hat and glove down as soon as he threw the pitch.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up about. I thought it was directly to the face. I did not realize it was a foul ball when I watched the video.
No, a dude I played with in college actually squared around to bunt and did the same thing, and it knocked out a couple of his front teeth. Did they say, is he okay? Do they have an update on him?
He's in the hospital. He's got a broken nose. He's got facial fractures, and they say that he's going to be. I think he's going to be out for the rest of the season. At this point, he will not undergo surgery. He has been discharged at this point from the Cleveland Clinic. The manager of the team says he's doing okay. He's in good spirits. And Skubal said, look, he reached out right away. He feels sick about it. I can't even imagine, especially because it was a foul ball. And, I think he'd even feel worse if it was right to the face. But that was horrifying.
He's lucky.
It really was.
Yeah, he's
very
lucky.
Very, very lucky that it, I mean, I don't want to say something to you. You almost think at one point someone's going to get killed.
How many people have
it hasn't
how
happened,
many how many times has a pitcher gotten a line drive back up the middle and off their head?
Yeah,
it
is scary. So
Hey,
listen to this.
I wanted to, while we got Alex here is a former catcher. What, the robot umpire, you get two challenges a game, either the pitcher, the catcher, or the batter could challenge. As a catcher, what would be the strategy? When would you do that? Would you just save it till the end of the game?
I think it would depend on the scoring situation.
Yeah, it would have to be. That's a good question. It'd have to be in a meaningful, if nobody's on base and there's no outs, that's probably not a good time to use it.
Just when it might change.
Yeah, it might change the outcome of the game.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I would think probably not until you would have to say the conversation for them is try not to do it until maybe after like the 5th inning or something. But if you got the bases loaded, and there's what you think a strike 3 and the umpire calls it ball 4 and they score a run, then you're gonna for sure challenge that.
I think that, in the NFL, the model is already there. You want to make sure you're challenging at the appropriate time because you're going to lose your challenges and lose your timeouts. So in this case, you'd want to do it in appropriate time. My guess would be there'd be, this is just a guess, I'm wrong all the time, Fred, there'd be a fair amount of games you'd never even have a challenge.
I also think that I don't know how I feel about the pitcher challenging, because the pitcher is kind of like should almost never challenge the umpire.
And they're always wrong anyway, aren't they?
They're always wrong.
Yeah.
And it's like, as the catcher, that's definitely the catcher's responsibility, in my opinion.
Can you tell if it's usually? I mean, you're.
There's some. You know for sure.
What kind of relationship though do you develop with the umpires?
It helps. It certainly helps. You have to develop one when you walk out there. That's why they're always. If you look at them, they're shaking hands. They're introducing themselves. Actually, this brings me to another completely other point about this, though. My brother was telling me my nephew was catching. My nephew's 12 years old.
Okay.
He's a pretty solid catcher. And he said they just recently started doing kid pitch. And he was catching great, catching everything except for one ball that I guess kind of got off of his glove and hit the umpire. We're talking Little League.
Right.
Hit the umpire in the chest.
Yeah.
So that happens. And the umpire apparently went to the dugout of my nephew's team and asked the coach if there was somebody else that could actually catch the ball.
What?
And my brother called and told me this story, and I thought, are you kidding me? And I said, did this happen one time? Like, the umpire got hit by one ball, and he said, seriously, it was one.
Okay, yeah, like
ball.
it's different if every toss by the pitcher the kid can't catch and it's hitting the umpire.
Exactly.
Right.
So, but that takes me to my point of those umpires a lot of the times take things very personally. So if you protect them from getting hit by a ball as a catcher, they're going to have more respect for you and whatnot. Now, in a 12-year-old game, that's ridiculous. Like,
that's ridiculous.
Absolutely insane. But yeah, I mean, you got to build the rapport with them. It's just like, somebody comes on your show and, they don't want to look like an idiot or something. If you don't like that person, you're probably going to leave them out hanging a little bit so that they kind of don't look as good as they maybe could.
It's human nature.
It's human nature.
It is, and that's why I think it's going to eventually not be human. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll use that as an argument, which I'm not saying is good or bad, but I think that's part of what their thought is.
We had a great conversation, Fred, I thought last night with our friend Joe Arnold down in Louisville, who is a longtime broadcaster. And he's the guy that, introduced me many years ago to Scott Jennings. We all have this baseball, thread that we, chime in on. Now, I'll be honest with you, that thread's very active in the first part of the season, not very active right now. But I thought what Joe said yesterday, so think about this. So now we have another season with not only less than 3 million fans at Busch Stadium, but 2 million, right? You have a team that's going to have a lot to figure out here in the next few years. We all, and Alex, you grew up playing baseball. You played collegiate baseball.
Yep.
We all grew up here in St. Louis, loving the Cardinals, trying to pass that along in many instances, Fred and I, to our children. Now, my kids are not really into sports. So you already have that. You already have kids, young people that aren't as into sports as maybe some of us. Then you have a team that is not going to pack the stands like they used to. It's not going to be as much a part of the fabric of St. Louis. So where does that leave the game of baseball? And where does that leave our passion in St. Louis? I think there are if they don't right the ship here, you're looking at much longer term implications for the fan base overall, because everybody's interested in different things. I think they're making moves to make baseball interesting. I love the game, but I mean, I can also understand how someone who's younger say, you give me a soccer game or football game, it's much more interesting and exciting.
Well, in the 70s, though, we had a star, right? You could at least go and watch Lou Brock. right? And
Yeah.
we don't really.
Wait, Albert Pujols, you had Yachty.
Yeah.
We don't have that
No,
person now.
That personally is what I think has been the issue. Is there's not a person that is the for sure a billboard player, right? Like, I mean, who like Nolan Arenado? I mean, I like the young guys.
Goldschmidt from a few years ago,
of course, but like coming off the heels of having 3 literal, not just Cardinal Hall of Famers, we're talking baseball MLB Hall of Famers in Yachty, Albert, and Waino, all at the same time on the same team, and then you don't have.
Well, you get spoiled too.
You get spoiled, I mean, you don't have anybody. There's not a player in my mind that has that like A-list celebrity feel when you go to the the baseball games.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
There's a lot of things they're doing, like the atmosphere around the ballpark off of the field, but it really does start with what's on the field. The games are more fun when they're winning, right? But there's also more people when there is that it's kind of like Miami, the soccer team down there got messy. They could be terrible. They could be
People are gonna still
absolutely
show up
atrocious,
backstage, right?
and people would show. I just don't feel like, we could have Ohtani and be terrible. I'm just using that as
Well,
an
right.
example.
How about your boy?
People
Look,
would show up. Kyle Schwarber.
Look, your boy, you backed up Kyle Schwarber. We need someone who can get 30, 35 home runs here, but he's going to be a free agent, but we're not going out and paying him,
No.
however, 35 million.
He's going to go to
whatever it is.
Cincinnati. I already know.
Really?
Well, yeah, he's from Cincinnati.
If they can grab him,
he's got a nice farm built in Cincinnati.
Yeah, so he doesn't want
He's
to come
going
to St. Louis.
But we can talk to him. I just need to keep him away from you.
Well, we'll have Mr. DeWitt on tomorrow afternoon. Bill DeWitt III is going to join us. Alex, I don't know.
You got
if
to ask
heard-
him about meeting the Pope.
Well, that's why we're having him on.
Okay.
But we'll ask him some other questions. Yeah, if you didn't hear the story from last week, he greeted Pope Leo in person, gave him a Cardinals jersey. And Pope Leo, who's a White Sox fan, admitted that his father was a Cardinals fan. So,
what do we think he does with that jersey? What does the Pope do
that's
with a
actually a
custom
really
Cardinal?
good question.
You know what I mean?
Does he have a closet at the
Right.
Vatican where he keeps all the gifts?
Do you
Right?
think he
can he
just
ever wear
signs it and then they auction it for some charitable cause?
You think?
I don't know.
I don't
You
think so.
DeWitt got it back.
I don't
You
think
got
the
to
Pope's
ask
a big
him.
autograph guy, is he? Like
Pope?
signing? Does the
It
Pope
just
sign a
seems
bunch of
weird.
autographs?
I don't
feel
know.
like
I
the
don't
Pope's signed a couple. I've seen some videos of him signing some
You
things.
tell me, Fred. You're the Pope expert. You're the religion
I've seen him
editor
sign
at KMOX.
That's true.
Popes have signed autographs and stuff. I didn't know if that was like a thing.
I got
AI
a question about the
says-
Pope. Do they ever wear actual normal clothes?
Oh, I don't know. Yes, a pope may sign autographs, though they are rare and difficult to obtain, usually requiring an in-person encounter rather than a through the mail or official channel.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
I love the question about like, do they ever wear like if he's sitting around his apartment, right? Is he putting on his
Is
White
it-
Sox
yeah,
jersey?
I think I remember seeing pictures.
I would hope so.
I
Right?
think so.
He's got some sweats
Like
on.
you're telling me the Pope doesn't sit there and watch a White Sox game every once in a while. It's him and his buddy, and he's got his
cracking an old
socks,
style or
right?
something like that. Come
I can
on.
remember seeing like Pope John Paul II when he was younger wearing hiking clothes when he was like hiking.
And see, that throws you off,
Ah,
right?
yeah, right.
It's so weird.
see
You think
their
you'd
legs.
recognize the Pope if he was in
No.
normal clothes?
No, I don't think you would. I
No,
get
you
thrown off even just by, just baseball players who you see with hats on all the time, and then you see them without a hat on,
Yeah.
and they just look different, right?
Totally.
Hang on, we're coming back.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Crews have been dealing with an accident eastbound 6440 approaching 14th Street. It was in the left lane and on the left shoulder. They've been moving that out of the way. A stall eastbound 44 past Hampton. That was a little earlier on the right side. Accident reported now southbound 55. So just watch out. This one is reported again south of Arsenal. We had another one there earlier. And slow-moving traffic south of there at Bates. Otherwise, it's moderate volume westbound 70 and 6440 out of downtown to out west. Southbound 270, slow pockets from, it looks like Page now, down through Doherty Ferry. It's a moderate volume at 44. This report is brought to you by The Diamond Shop. The Diamond Shop, making St. Louis sparkle for over 100 years. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I turned my AC off earlier today. I hope I don't have to turn it back on at all this fall as we finally are in the fall season. I want to talk about your windows because that's when you really start to feel, maybe you did feel it over the summer, that the cool air in your home was escaping, and then the opposite happens. Of course, that cold air gets into your home during the winter. You might need new windows. At Banner Construction, they have a pre-winter window event that's going on right now, and you could choose from a variety of energy-efficient brands and window price points, featuring, though, beautiful Pella windows. Banner, of course, a certified Pella contractor. They're an elite preferred James Hardie specialist, and they've been doing this since 1993 here in St. Louis. So if you're even thinking in the back of your mind about new windows, new Pella windows, or a fresh exterior for your home, let Banner come in and talk to you about it and tell you about the real look, feel of the James Hardie siding. It looks like wood. It feels like wood. The Pella replacements are awesome. 569-1050 is the number. BannerConstruction.com.
Scott Jennings here. I'm excited to be part of the St. Louis conservative conversation, cutting through the noise with unfiltered common sense.
Scott Jennings.
Weekdays at 8 p.m.
on 97.1 FM Talk.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
When it comes to roofing, you can't go wrong with Corel Roofing. Mark Cox here. My friend Curtis Corel came out, looked at my roof, worked with my insurance adjuster. I got a new roof, new gutters, and even new screens on some of my windows. Curtis specializes in working with insurance companies. Even if you've been denied, he's often able to work with these insurance adjusters to find a way to get it covered. Here's something else Curtis tells me. With cooler weather coming, you need to be aware of something. Roofs cannot be installed if the temperature dips below 45 degrees. Some companies go ahead and do this anyway, but you're going to have problems down the road. So if you're concerned that your roof won't make it through the winter, call Curtis Corel today. Corel Roofing has crews with over 20 years of experience. They pay attention to detail, and they can work with all the luxury line roofing as well. Call Curtis at 314-222-9529. That's 222-9529. Or on Facebook at Corel Roofing Co.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. If you're a renter, make sure you're protected. Renter's insurance includes options that cover stolen property, personal injury, and living expenses if your place is damaged. Quote Renter's Insurance at Progressive.com.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
We have Sue Thomas, the Hall of Famer Fred Bottomer, Alex Richall in the studio this afternoon. So we featured quite a bit of the audio yesterday. The president was before the UN. It was a speech. When I was talking to Kilmeade about this, it really was a very unique speech if you listen to the content of it, because the UN was given some tough medicine. But French president, they played this audio this morning on Fox. So Fred, correct me if I'm getting any of this wrong. So Macron is there, and then he is caught in a roadblock because police had blocked off an intersection in Manhattan because of the motorcade. So he actually tries to call Trump to tell him this.
How are you? Guess what? I'm waiting the street because everything is frozen for you. No, I have 10 people with me. I go to the French embassy.
No. I'm sorry, President. I'm really sorry. It's just that everything's in frozen right now. There's a motorcade coming right. That's why.
Oh, sorry. If you don't see it, let me cross. I negotiate with you.
No, it's not that.
Did he want Trump to just kind of pull over and give him a ride or something like that? Right. I do think that's kind of funny, though.
That is.
But you heard the police officer very apologetically saying, I'm sorry, Mr. President, I'm really sorry. It's just everything is frozen right now. All right, so listen to this story, and I think we've talked about this before. You still, Fred, have not watched, or Sue, you haven't watched the Catfish documentary.
Oh my
Alex,
gosh.
you've seen it, right?
Of course.
Okay, so this is kind of a separate but related story from Hannah Fry in the LA Times this morning. Abigail Ruvalcaba was intrigued when a handsome daytime soap opera actor she had been watching for years reached out to her in a Facebook message. His rugged exterior, softened by his piercing blue eyes and almost a shy smile, disarmed her. She answered him, pushing away any doubts as to why the Emmy winner would suddenly contact her. They talked on the phone. He sent her videos professing his love for her. They made plans to buy a beach house so they could start to live their lives together. The problem is that she was not making plans with Steve Burton, who is a star in General Hospital, but with a scammer who intended not to romance her, but to swindle her. And I don't know how these things happen, but they do. And in this story this morning, they point out they're happening on an increasing basis. This led her to sell her home to send money to the scammers. So she never meets the actor, right? You would think that would be like the first hint that something's off the rails
red
here.
flag, yeah.
But I guess that this is, first of all, they point out in the LA Times that fraudsters using promises of love and companionship to cheat the lonely is something that is as old as Victorian novels. But with AI and all the deep fakes and everything, they have powerful new weapons, because you can use the likeness of an actor and it can be very, very realistic. So they go to Steve Burton, the actor, and they say, hey, do you know that this happens? He goes, I didn't know about this exchange, but he says he has numerous encounters and has had them over the last few years where strangers approach him and they insist that they had been chatting. So he says, I get 1,000 messages a day, and 100 of them are people who think they're talking to me on other apps. Telegram, WhatsApp, my agent, my manager, my publicist, nobody will be reaching out to you. Burton said in a Facebook video warning his fans of such scams. Please be careful. You are not speaking to me anywhere unless I message you back from my Instagram, one Steve Burton. So I guess that he's been, someone that's been featured a lot. In 2023, the estimate is that 65,000 people reported being victim of a romance scam, with losses reaching a staggering $1.14 billion.
That's insane.
It is insane. But I guess these things where they pretend to be celebrities, they're growing. They're still rare, but the AI stuff is making it easier.
I mean, look at the thing we watched, Mark. Look at the unknown number thing. Like that's just, it's going even crazier than that.
That's why this is, and I don't want to talk about that because, again, with
dead
that
giveaway?
You guys have to.
Well,
no, it's just
you don't want to know what happened because you want to go into that documentary not knowing.
Catfish?
It's called Catfish,
because it's also
Unknown
the same type. Like you think, no way. It's just one of those no way. How could you get scammed by these celebrities, right?
Yeah,
we think no way. And if you think that is crazy, like you see this, and like Mark said,
your jaw will drop when the moment comes. And I knew.
Don't look anything up about
That's what I've
either.
said. I've told people that.
Just watch it, and you'll never believe it.
Yep.
I've seen every crazy documentary. I think the only other one crazier.
The one what was crazy. Remember the one with the McDonald's where the girls were stripped down in the offices?
Oh, that was that was like a prank call.
Yeah,
they're calling one as well.
That's crazy too.
That's crazy. But the one that I thought was crazy was abducted in plain sight.
Yeah, which one was that? Because I know I watched that.
It was ultimately the guy like ends up confessing that he like at one point made love with the mother, and then he was like hooking up with the daughter that was like 12, and then the dad. He was hooking up with the whole family. They made a Law and Order episode out of it.
Did they really?
They really did.
I believe that.
Yeah.
No, I've even admitted on the scam front, I've fallen for phishing scams recently where I've given bank information out and a debit card that I shouldn't. So I guess I can understand how someone might, especially if you're lonely and someone reaches out to you and you're convinced psychologically that they want to be your friend. And I think they play on those things to make you the victim. Alex, great to see you. Have fun. Just a real quick recap of what you're doing Saturday night at the factory.
Yeah, I am moderating the Phil Rosenthal show from Somebody Feed Phil. He was also the creator of Everybody Loves Raymond, but he's going to be at the factory on Saturday night. Tickets are available still, but I will be moderating it on stage with him, and it's going to be an awesome time.
My advice remains the same. Don't suck.
Don't suck.
We'll see you next week.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Hey, if you're just leaving the office, it's not too bad, but we have plenty of moderate volume out there. Now, they've cleared that accident, southbound 55. It was really close to Arsenal. Now they're saying, yep, it's a stall, and it's still on the right-hand side. So that has created a slow go out of downtown. Now, eastbound 44 is slowing at the 55 split. 6440 is slow, headed for the Poplar. Westbound lines up approaching Kings Highway out past McCausland. Then you'll find slow pockets out through 70. 70 is kind of the same way, just a slow pocket or two out through the 64 split. Southbound 270, it's moderate volume, but it's Page down through Doherty Ferry. 44 jams at 270. And southbound 141 jams headed for 44. This report is brought to you by me. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
We do give Sue a little discount for when she sponsors her own traffic, of course, yes.
Climate Masters. We specialize in older homes. Climate Masters Heating and Cooling. Trusted heating and cooling installation and maintenance service. Keeping the St. Louis Metro comfortable since 1978. Call us today at 314-968-8383. Climate Masters.
If you are thinking about retirement and you're getting closer and you're starting to think, you know what, I think that this amount of money will make it for us through retirement. No, you cannot just guess and hope for the best. This is something that is very serious. And you have got to have a written retirement financial plan in place. And why I like Financial and Tax Architects approach is because their idea is, you know what? Let's teach you how retirement works, a couple of tax strategies, how and when to claim Social Security, how to do the best you possibly can with what you've got. And it's a class called Retirement Planning 101 for adults. Now, you schedule, you have to register to go. It's 314-888-5101, 314-888-5101. But go and learn, and then if you want Financial and Tax Architects to help you, that's great. But you'll see what they're all about.
I met my wife in law school at the University of Florida. She was from upstate New York, and I was from Kentucky. We met at a daily mass at St. Augustine's. She was the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen in my life. After communion, I followed her out of the church and got her phone number. The rest is history. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Little did we know that one day we would have 4 children and the largest injury firm in the world. All 4 work in the business. It's a family business. Did I ever see this coming? Hell no. We just worked very hard and treated our clients like we would want to be treated, like family. It's a full-service injury firm, auto accidents, medical malpractice, workers' compensation, Social Security, and insurance disputes. We're open 24/7, 365 days a year. Visit forthepeople.com and we can get to work on your case. No recovery, no fee. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Celebrate September with Zero Res and get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Take advantage of these huge savings. Spell it forward or backwards, it spells the same, Zero Res.
Hey, it's Bo Matthews, and Missouri Brush Control is helping landowners reclaim their property with forestry mulching. If invasive plants and trees have overtaken your land, Missouri Brush Control will mulch vegetation where it stands with specialized equipment that is efficient and eco-friendly. Selective land clearing like this can help you maximize your property's value. Enjoy your land like you've always dreamed of. Check out our website or Facebook page for before and after photos and videos of our projects. Learn more at MissouriBrushControl.com. That's MissouriBrushControl.com.
I told you Jimmy Kimmel was going to cry. That was about the easiest prediction of the week, but we're going to talk more about it with Curtis Houck next.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
A targeted attack at an ICE facility. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. 1 detainee has died, 2 others critically hurt after a man opened fire on an ICE transport van in Dallas.
Fox has identified the shooter as 29-year-old Joshua John, who turned the gun on himself after the shooting and died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The FBI sharing pictures of rounds found right near the shooter engraved with anti-ICE messages. This is the latest in a string of targeted targeted attacks on ICE facilities here in Texas. You know, at this same facility, there was a man that was arrested last month for making a bomb threat. And then in July, a group ambushed officers outside a separate Texas ICE facility. One of those officers was shot and survived.
Fox's Brooke Taylor in Dallas. Shortly after the shooting, Texas Senator Ted Cruz called for an end to political violence. President Trump also called for an end to political violence, writing on Truth Social, ICE officers and other brave members of law enforcement are under grave threat. The deadline approaching for lawmakers to reach a deal to avoid a partial government shutdown, but so far there's been no movement. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries blamed Republicans for the stalemate.
We've repeatedly made clear that we are going to work together anytime, any place, and sit down with anyone on the other side of the aisle in order to avoid a Republican-caused government shutdown and to address the Republican health care crisis.
President Trump had agreed to meet with Democratic leaders at the White House, but then canceled the sit-down, saying it wouldn't be productive. The White House has said it wants a short-term measure that would fund the government through the third week of November. On Wall Street, stocks drifted lower, sending major indexes below their all-time highs. The Dow lost 171, the Nasdaq off 75, the S&P minus 18. America is listening to Fox News.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching fever under your flu medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Here's the tale of the daily med fill. Same old pharmacy, same old bill, but those prices kept rising higher still.
Till the savings wrangler rode in, cool as can be. Tap Good RX, saving massively.
No plan? Don't matter none. Up to 80% off. Deals are done.
Discounts hitting harder than Ma's chili. Dang. That one little app does all the rest.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Check Good RX. Good RX is not insured.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Still a little bit unsettled out there with our weather, but the rain pattern is getting smaller and smaller, partly to mostly cloudy skies. Keep a chance of a couple of spotty showers, even a rumble of thunder in a few spots. 70s this evening, 62 for the low. On Thursday, partly sunny, nothing more than a spot shower. Thursday's mainly a dry day, 77. Thursday night, clear and excellent, 58. Friday, sunny and 80. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Kind of looking forward to having a chat with Bill DeWitt III tomorrow. He just met with Pope Leo at the Vatican, gave the Pope a Cardinals jersey. The Pope admitted his father, despite Pope Leo being a White Sox fan, his father was a Cardinals fan. So Mr. DeWitt's going to share that story tomorrow at 3:18 on the program. We're getting real close to Evolution Festival this weekend. I'm very excited. Can't wait to see Sam Fender on Saturday night. Also, there's a band called His Lordship, which I'm kind of into right now. And James Walburn, who is lead guitarist and singer in that band. He's also lead guitarist for Chrissy Hine and the Pretenders, is going to join us on Friday with Jeff Jarrett from Contemporary Productions as we get closer to Evolution Festival. Okay, so not that it was too difficult, Sue, you were gone, but I did make the solid prediction, which was at even money that Jimmy Kimmel would cry. That was one thing I was certain of last night, and of course it happened.
It's important to me as a human, and that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it, nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make. For those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way.
So he did say some nice things about Charlie Kirk's widow.
Erica Kirk forgave the man who shot her husband. She forgave him. That is an example we should follow. in the teachings of Jesus as I do, there it was. That's it. A selfless act of grace, forgiveness from a grieving widow. It touched me deeply. And I hope it touches many. And if there's anything we should take from this tragedy to carry forward, I hope it can be that and not this.
So I'd like to believe his statements. It wasn't really an apology. The problem is that Jimmy Kimmel has been mean-spirited. It's kind of like Joe Biden. Joe Biden got a pass on how mean-spirited he was on a regular basis. He was just Uncle Joe, hey, slap on the back. See, Kimmel has been so mean-spirited and evil over the years. We played the audio. He's been featured in Audio Cut of the Day, and it's nasty. It's not, they're not political funny jokes. That's the thing. He's up there on his soapbox. He's got every right to do that, right? Colbert has created a niche for himself, and Kimmel decided that he didn't used to do this. He used to try to be funny. I think he was funny. I don't agree with President Trump that he's got no talent. Everybody's got no talent. Curtis Houck is with us from Newsbusters, and I want your thoughts on what happened last night, the way that this whole thing has spun out of control in the last week or so. How are you, Curtis Houck, managing editor of Newsbusters?
Good to be with you, my friend. Absolutely. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel's the victim. He's the victim here, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, he acted like a guy who was caught, I mean, this was so predictable that he was going to cry, that he would talk about how he's a Christian. He was going to basically pull a Hillary Clinton and say that I'm sorry you feel that way about what I said. I mean, this is just so pathetic. And of course, he did not admit that he was wrong. You listen in the clip there, he talks about this being a deeply disturbed individual.
Yeah, he could have. There was a window right there. Yeah, there was a window where he could have said, I misrepresented this in my monologue that created this blank storm, because he did. And that's, and then he makes a crack the following night, and then they pulled him off a week ago, right around this time, a week ago tonight. Now, we didn't have him on the air here in St. Louis, Curtis. Sinclair owns the station here. I don't know how this is going to, So, I don't know how this is going to work out in the long term, because this probably gave him, they're already bragging about, YouTube streams that hit a record high. There's no doubt this was going to draw a lot of attention. And in the end, it probably did help Jimmy Kimmel. But there's no way you can convince me that if you watch his show on a regular basis, you're not going to see the same nastiness, misrepresentations. I mean, some of the things that you guys have put out, when you keep track of the amount of guests that may have even leaned slightly to the right, it's about 5% of Kimmel's guests over the years, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've been tracking late night guests and jokes on the comedy show since our Alex Christie took over the beat for us in September of 2022. And we have found the political guests, 61 liberal Democrats and 2 on the right, but they're really the same person, Mike Lindell. And as for political jokes, 92% of political jokes were targeting the right. So think about this. Even when Joe Biden came into office, I believe it was still something about 80 or 90% of the jokes in Biden's first 100 days about politics were about Trump. The guy who was not president anymore versus the guy who was president. And Kimmel to do this Christian thing particularly irks me, Mark, because this is a guy who has said Sarah Palin's the HPV of American politics. He has said Mitt Romney and Ted Cruz are like chlamydia and AIDS. I mean, and then there's a whole bunch of things I'm not going to share on a family show that is just, it's so repugnant out there. He also referred to people who did not take the COVID vaccine as wheezy, suggesting that if push came to shove, those who came in with a heart attack and were vaccinated,
they should die. Yeah.
Those people should get a bed versus those who didn't. Rest in peace, Wheezy was what he said. There's still people who remember that, as you just did, and the people that are upset about that. But that doesn't matter. The left is still holding him up as this martyr. Like he's a public servant, as Brian Seltzer said last night. He's an educator about free speech. Reminder, none of us have a right to our platforms. None of us have a right to a show. We just have a right to our opinions. And again, the First Amendment has to do with the government, not private employers.
I love some of the reactions. So let's get into, because this kind of plays into what happened, unfortunately, today with this ICE attack down in Dallas, right? So here's JD Vance. This is something.
Because here's what happens when Democrats like Gavin Newsom did say that these people are part of an authoritarian government. when the left-wing media lies about what they're doing, when they lie about who they're arresting, when they lie about the actual job of law enforcement, what they're doing is encouraging crazy people to go and commit violence. You don't have to agree with my immigration policies. You don't have to agree with Donald Trump's immigration policies. But if your political rhetoric encourages violence against our law enforcement, you can go straight to hell, and you have no place in the political conversation of the United States of America.
I don't know. Was it you guys that put the super cut up? Because I just played half of this before. I can play a little bit more here.
And kidnapping and disappearing people on the streets of the United States.
But this terror campaign of having masked people rolling up in vans, but we also have to talk about the agents themselves that are carrying this out.
So this goes on and on. They use this word disappeared, of course, in their rhetoric, and they act shocked when something like this happens.
My colleague Bill D'Agostino has a separate one out there that, I mean, he pulled it together in maybe an hour of different MSNBC clips recently. I mean, this J.D. Vance, first of all, the leadership that he showed in that clip, that is exactly right. That is the forcefulness that you want in a political leader. And how he prefaced it by saying, you don't have to like my policies. You don't have to like the president's policies. And that's totally fine. You can say we should do these deportations a different way. But when you say that people are the enemy and they're Gestapo and so on and so forth, and you're not recognizing the threats to law enforcement and the idea of doxing, you know, the technology that we have now, facial recognition, you know, is really a thing that not just governments are using, groups are able to use as well. People are going to be threatened and whatnot. You know, I mean, the left is completely unmoored from reality here, and yet they're demanding that we on the right are the ones who need to, you know,
tone it down. Well, like
we need to look ourselves in the mirror.
Here's one of my favorites. This has got to be, and I hate to even give her any attention, but I will hear Hillary.
I include myself. We have got to stop demonizing each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, I think most of that right now in our country's history is coming, you know, from the right, coming from people who want to dominate. They want their point of view. We have got to stop with the finger pointing and the scapegoating. We can have legitimate disagreements. Facts and evidence have to matter again. And then we can start having good debates.
Are you kidding me? Are you that she's the source for that messaging? I can't actually believe that she said myself included, because herself should be included. I mean, she started this with something pretty, you know, when the deplorables, that's mild compared to what we get now with being called Nazis, the Gestapo, authoritarians, fascists, you name it. That's not coming from the right. What is the language that is coming from the right that is inflammatory right now? And I don't remember seeing, you know, riots in the streets of St. Louis or in Chicago and elsewhere after the Charlie Kirk situation. There was none of that, right? So where's the rhetoric, the inflamed rhetoric on our side? There are people that say stupid things sometimes, but you can't even begin to compare it, Curtis, and you know that.
Right, exactly. And I mean, Charlie, unfortunately, in one of his final days, in one of his final tweets, shared the results of a poll done by Rutgers and a few other consortium of groups that found 55% of left of center young people, respondents, said that they could see violence against President Trump be justified. And there was some other polling out there as well that was going into this. And you had a third of people in YouGov in the first couple of days after the assassination who believed that the suspect was going to have found to have been MAGA. So for Hillary Clinton to come out there and say, oh, no, the right needs to get a hold of it here. Even Lauren Powell Jobs as the Atlantic came out and said, man, the left now is, I mean, kind of out of control now. Now they're trying to both sides it, of course, Mark. They have that qualifier there. But the reality, the thesis, the first part of their statements is concluding that the violent left is on the rise. That is an issue. We have Luigi Mangione, we have the Charlie Kirk assassination, and now we have any number of these ICE incidents. Put it all together, and it is not a pretty picture of the left.
The church
in the way that in the way we treat each other. I mean, it is so pathetic. But of course, the left, in the liberal media in particular, believe that, you know, they have a job to tell the rest of us what to do. When all we are asking a lot of the time is for the media to lead. And we've talked about this over the last couple of weeks. They just need to say, we haven't always gotten this right.
Have you seen anyone? Let me ask this question. I'll segue into something. Have you seen, Curtis, like anyone try to ask Kamala a tough question about the election? Here she is. She's still confused about how she lost and why she lost.
I really
did not fully embrace the reality of how people felt. And I should have. I will confess to you, I do not have all the answers, Joy.
Yeah.
I mean, part of my reflection is that I don't have all the answers.
Well, it's not that complicated. And they even had to remind her on CNN last night, people do not like her.
Now, down under she goes. She's at minus 13 points. That's an 8-point drop since the general election. The American people, they don't want this. They don't want her.
Who's going to buy her book? I mean, she's getting more attention from our side, unfortunately, than she is, I think, on her own side. I'm not sure who would buy the book, but she's pretty clueless, and she's not very self-aware, is she?
Yeah, no one likes her. Former Joe Biden aide Michael LaRosa, Rahm Emanuel, David Axelrod, I mean, a lot of progressives even as well have come out and said, okay, this is one thing we all agree on, that like Kamala is completely clueless and can. Jesse Waters had a supercut that just in the View interview, the Maddow interview, and the GMA interview with Michael Strahan, that she basically said the insane thing in each of the interviews.
Of course.
Word for word.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is in the case of some of these interviews, like Strahan, they'll start with a good question being like, why did you not say anything about this with Biden? Why, what was your reaction to him calling you? What kind of things do you think you did wrong in the race? They might be half decent, but then when she starts to wander, they do not interject, and they kind of let her go on this tangent. That was in particular, like, what did you do wrong was one of the ones about Strahan. Some people have said you're not taking any responsibility for your actions. She goes on this long thing about Donald Trump being an authoritarian. And this is why she picks amateurs or dum-dums like The View or, again, people that aren't prepared like Strahan to do these interviews because they know.
Well, they're in friendly territory. I mean, I'd love to see Megyn Kelly do an interview with Kamala Harris, or even if look, how about Brett Baer? I mean, Brett Baer, I think would do a fair job of doing an interview with her. I wouldn't think that she'd go on Hannity or anything like that, but she won't even do something like that because she doesn't want to be faced with tough questions.
Anyone on News Nation, CBS's Tony DeCopel, even I think could be interesting. I might even be willing to give Savannah Guthrie or Craig Melvin a run for it on the Today Show. But the fact that she's retreating to the weakest of the weak, so to speak, just goes to show how clueless and adrift she is. By the way, side note, for those that still have to, some reason for work, apparently she did the audiobook for it as well.
I know. So I heard some of and she read, it's bad. It's not something you want to hear. News Nation, you mentioned them. They had some killer numbers after the Charlie Kirk Memorial. Maybe, I've wondered about them and how they're surviving out there. I like some of what they do, but they had a pretty good ratings number the other night, I heard.
Yes, they did. And I'll have to say that, this is their time for this. I feel, talking about rhetoric, how we need to be able to see each other as Americans, how we need to have all kinds of tough conversations and get to know each other, see each other as just human beings, and while also rigorously debating, because I think that is the lesson of the Charlie Kirk assassination here, that you can fiercely debate with somebody and not compromise your values, but still speak to someone in respect and truth and love. And News Nation does that quite well. I mean, there's an event coming up at the Kennedy Center with Bill O'Reilly, Stephen A. Smith, and Cuomo, I believe. Anytime you put the three of them together, it's been very, very interesting stuff over there.
That would be interesting. Bill, I had Bill on yesterday. He did not mention that. Curtis Houck, always great to have you on. I hope all is well, and we'll continue to track the media nonsense. You guys do a great job at Newsbusters.
Take care, my friend. Talk again soon.
We'll talk soon. We have coming up here, I mentioned there's a woman named Jessica LeMaster who reached out to me, who is a special education advocate in St. Charles County, and wrote an email that I got a couple of days ago that was just mind-boggling, some of the things that have happened to this young person in one of the school districts out there, and she's going to share that story at 5:32. We're going to get together a week from tomorrow night. A week from tomorrow is our final Protecting Your Retirement event at the Plaza Frontenac Hilton. Thomas Helbig will host that. He joins me to preview next.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There is an accident on westbound 6440 at 94, and it's on the right side, some flashing lights through there. If you are westbound on 6440 in the city, The slow pockets start right around Kings Highway, and they continue out through that 94 accident. But west of there, things look good. Now, it's kind of the same thing on westbound 70. Moderate volume at Jennings Station Road, past the airport, and a little at Wentzville. Southbound 270, slow pockets Page, down through Doherty Ferry, a little slow at 44. At 55, jams at Bates. If you're headed into Illinois, we actually look really good on the bridges downtown. Your garage door is the largest piece of moving equipment in your home. When it needs help, call the experts at Overhead Door Company for same-day service, 314-781-5200, or schedule online, overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
This report is sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis.
Seahawks and Arizona Cardinals tomorrow night. I mention it because I want you to get on Underdog Fantasy. It is a blast. You can win a little money. You can play with as little as $1. If you get everything right, you win up to 5,000 times your money. Now, if you've ever been on Underdog, if you've never been on, if you don't have a username or anything like that, this is a great opportunity because with football back, Underdog is the best place to select entries and win money all season long. It's super easy. You come up with a username, a password, you deposit a little money. When you play your first $5 on Underdog and you use my promo code, which is Mark R, that will get you $50 in bonus funds when you play that first $5. You can't beat that. Again, the promo code is Mark R. And again, the way that you play is easy. You just have to pick whether a player will go higher or lower on stats, touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Have a little fun. Underdog. Make plays. Win money. Must be 18 plus. And present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
He's Donald Trump's #1 enemy in Congress, Chicago Senator Dick Durbin. And now Dick Durbin has a new scheme, a government takeover of your credit card. Today, consumers have thousands of choices in credit cards, all with equal, strong security. But Durbin's plan is less competition and less security. And that means more risk for your credit and your identity. Tell Republicans in Congress, stop Dick Durbin's takeover of your credit card before it's too late.
Paid for by Electronic Payments Coalition.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is, who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardy contractor and Pella Window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. Now hiring qualified carpenters.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-908-8646 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-908-8646. That's 800-908-8646. What do you have to lose? Call 800-908-8646. Again, 800-908-8646.
Fast-paced, fact-based, and never boring. This is the Mark Reardon Show.
Well, he was on with Annie yesterday, and Thomas Helbig has been nice enough to come back from the Retirement Advisory Group to talk about our event, which is going to take place a week from tomorrow at the St. Louis Plaza Frontenac Hilton, our final event of the year. Thomas Helbig, how are you?
I'm good, Mark. Thanks for having me.
I always get to this point in the year, and we do 5 of these, and I can't believe that here we are. We're sitting in mid-September. We're talking about an event which is going to be 2 weeks from a week from tomorrow night. What am I talking about? A week from
Thursday.
Yeah, that's crazy.
October 2nd at 6:30 at the Frontenac Hilton. Folks, this is the last event of the year. If you're retired or thinking about retiring and you've been thinking about attending one of these events, sign up. You don't want to miss it. It's the last event of the year, and we're going to share some really good stuff. As you all know, the markets are hitting all-time highs right now.
Right.
But at some point, we're going to hit a volatility. And what the scary thing is, you get all these highs, and then you start giving money back. We're going to teach you a strategy at this event, how to automatically lock in your gains without having to sell, folks. Because right now, when you're in the market, the only way you lock in a gain is by selling. And that creates a taxable event. I'm going to show you a strategy that's been around for 30-something years, allows you to automatically lock in your gains without having to sell. And that means you're never going to lose that. And you could continually build and build and build. And we're going to teach you this strategy.
Why don't more people teach that strategy?
Because Wall Street doesn't want you to know about the strategy because there's no fees in it. And that's what we're going to discuss also. And folks, how many of you out there who may be retired or nearing retirement do not have your own personalized structured income plan? That's so important, Mark. Everybody needs to have one of these, because what we do, and we'll put this together for you free of charge, it will base all your different investments you have.
Right.
When you have Social Security, if you have a pension, and it will actually tell you how much we're going to be able to generate income for you every month, every year, the rest of your life. And it's also going to show you how long your money will last. And everybody needs to know that, because a lot of people are sitting with their spouse wondering, honey, can we afford to retire right now?
Yeah,
this will put it into perspective.
Let me ask this question, because you used to be back in the day, you have $1 million in a retirement account. That seems like plenty money, right?
Right.
Is that the case today?
No,
it's not, right?
Because they used to have an old 4% rule Wall Street used. If you have 60% in stocks, 40% in bonds, you used to be able to retire on 4% a year, and you could almost safely not run out of money.
Yeah.
That's been blown out the door a number of times, because in 2022, we had a bond market collapsing and the stock market going down. You're losing money all the way around. 4% went out the room. So now Wall Street's saying, don't pull out more than 2 or 2.5. Folks, that's nothing. With the strategies we teach, when you're never going to lose any money, when you lock in your gains automatically, we're going to show you how to avoid fees. You can draw more income than you can if you just let your money ride in the market. We're going to teach this that Thursday night on October 2nd. So folks, sign up for this.
Yeah, it's a week from tomorrow. These are free events. We just need to know that you're coming, right?
Exactly. And the room is filling up fast because it's the last event of the year. You'll be there. Mark Cox will be there. Annie Fry will be there. Come and mingle. A lot of people get there 6:15 or so. We start at 6:30. I'm only going to talk for 45 minutes, folks. Don't miss this event.
Yeah,
go to retirementkey.com to sign up.
What I said earlier this week is you're still going to catch the second quarter of the Thursday night football game. So don't worry about a big time commitment, right?
Exactly.
Well, that's awesome.
When's the football game start?
It's a 7:15 kickoff, but you get home in time for the second quarter. It's not going to be a big deal. And by the way, we should also mention that if some people like this because it's a group setting, and by the way, it's free. We just need the RSVP. But you can always go in one-on-one.
Absolutely. And that's what we'll offer you. If you come to this event, you can always meet one-on-one. But if you attend this event, we're going to be able to put together your own personalized structured income plan free of charge for you folks if you attend this event. And we're going to show you how to be able to lock in your gains every year without having to sell, which creates a taxable event. And these are two important things we'll talk about.
Retirementkey.com. Get registered today. We'll see you next Thursday. Thank you, Thomas.
Thanks for having me, Mark. God bless everybody.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads this afternoon, if you are just leaving the office, we've kind of got the usual volume on westbound 70. Just some moderate volume Jennings Station Road, 141, and then a little bit at Wentzville. And 6440, same thing, only it's Kings Highway in pockets all the way out through that accident past 94. And again, just moderate volume. Southbound 270, moderate volume. It's Page down through Doherty Ferry. 44 westbound, some moderate volume in the Webster area. And it's also slow in front of the Arch Grounds downtown. Southbound 55 slowing at Bates. But we look great if you're headed into Illinois. Really no delays. This report brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
The Martins came over, we were having spaghetti when we suddenly noticed that we started getting sweaty. So we grabbed the keys and we ate it in the van. That's what my friend said, call Jerry Kelly, man, JerryKelly.com. Give him a call, even though it's late. JerryKelly.com.
Ooh, there is a new cafe. It's the Cafe Cherry Diamond at the west location of the Missouri Athletic Club. And I have not checked it out yet, but they have new renovated seating and a cool new atmosphere. So if you're looking for some coffee, a smoothie, tea options, they have those every day. If you remember, they're open every day, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., Saturday and Sunday. We got a really awesome West Clubhouse Oyster Social coming up on next Friday. I love oysters. They got pumpkin and pancakes. Always something fun going on at both locations of the Missouri Athletic Club. And then, of course, all the work that we do in the community with the Sports Foundation and the Charitable Society for Children, where we help 3 different charities every year, taking nominations actually in the month of October. We're going to select the 3 charities for next year to be on the receiving end of some generous gift giving from members of the MAC. You can always find out more at mac-stl.org for the Missouri Athletic Club.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. 1 discount per household.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
And this portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
Freedom has a frequency. 97.1 FM Talk. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Sue, do you know the name Leland Bittert?
No.
So he was Charlie Brennan's intern many, many years ago on KMOX. He was a Fox correspondent and reporter for a while. I think he might have even had his own weekend show. He's now a host at News Nation, and he's a St. Louis native. And I did not know this, but he is apparently Leland is on the autism spectrum. And he has written a book, and he's going to join us Friday night to talk about his brand new book. We're going to take you into the weekend that way. Tomorrow, Bill DeWitt III at 3:18. Dan Reardon's going to join us with a Ryder Cup preview at 5:30 tomorrow night. I heard from a listener earlier this week in an email that was quite disturbing about something that's happening in the Wentzville School District. And, you know, Sue, I've highlighted some of the nonsense that's gone on in Kirkwood comes to mind, unfortunately, in the last couple of years, and some of the other stuff. This one sounds kind of sad overall. Jessica LeMaster is with us. She's a certified special ed advocate in St. Charles County. We're going to try not to use the name of the student here because he's a minor. But Jessica, thanks for reaching out and thanks for coming on this evening on 97.1 FM Talk. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
So some of the details in this, email certainly caught my attention. But how would you start telling this story of this young man who also is a student that has some special ed and some disabilities, correct?
Yes. So he is a student with identified disabilities. He has an IEP and protections under IDEA, which is a federal law, and Section 504 and so forth. I've actually been contemplating all day how to fit everything into a short time.
there's
to
a
summarize it
lot
all.
here. Well, we have a little time, but I know there's a lot to this story.
There is.
So where would you start?
Kind of like the beginning of how we got to where we are now.
Okay.
So I have been heavily involved since February when the initial start of everything took place. So in February, this student was arrested in school during actually a math test that he didn't get to complete. So he was arrested in front of his peers and held in juvie for over a month for what has been found as false allegations that has been proven.
What kind of allegations?
Yeah.
These were
Okay,
assault or
yes.
sexual assault allegations. We got to make sure that we're as specific as we can be.
Yes. So it was alleged sexual offense.
Yeah.
That the alleged offense apparently took place in October. So fast forward to February, that's when that arrest happened because of the alleged in October.
And then the alleged, just to be clear here, the alleged event did not happen at the school or during school hours, correct?
No. So so the process for special education is whenever there is a disciplinary incident or a student is removed from the education building, there's processes, which is a manifestation determination review meeting, an MDR. So we actually had the MDR closely following the arrest. And it was ironic because we're in there and the district staff flat out says, well, this actually has nothing to do with school, so we can't say that this is due to the school not following his IEP or anything. But they did list it under the Safe School Act. So the district then imposed a 37-day suspension citing felony charges,
Okay.
even though the alleged conduct had no connection to school or school policy. Under this law, the districts may suspend a student charged with a felony, but they are not required to, especially when a student poses no threat and the incident was off campus.
Right, but
But
let me stop you right there because I know that there's questions about what was proven, what wasn't proven. I can certainly understand why, if there's a serious allegation that's presented to me as an administrator in a school, and if I feel like bringing the student back into classes could potentially harm other students, then I'd probably want to do something about it.
Yes, you would.
But
the issue with it, we'll get to at the end.
Yes, but there's a big but there, right? Because we continue the story. We'll get to that part, I guess.
So there's also FERPA, which is a federal law that states even after, so there was a FERPA violation. So even after the court dismissed the case, the district refused to remove the disciplinary code from his educational record, despite the family's request through a FERPA hearing. The district claimed it accurately reflects the suspension occurred under the Safe School Act, but FERPA also protects against maintaining misleading or stigmatizing records.
Okay.
So then we also have been navigating issues with Title IX retaliation.
Before we get to that, let's go back to the case. You're claiming, I'm gonna have to take your word on this, that the criminal case was dismissed and the allegations were actually proven false?
Yes, by over 500 pages of evidence that supports it was false.
Okay, so when is the case
And
dismissed?
fabricated.
When was that? When did that happen?
That was in March.
Okay, in March. But your case to me in the email is, even though that happened and you have, some questionable things that maybe were draped around this particular, incident becoming an arrest and then, juvie and all this other stuff, that in the aftermath of that this student has also been targeted for the accusations that were proven false.
Yes, still to this day, like even as of Friday, this past Friday.
Being abused by other students, you're claiming?
So verbally harassed, and like this past Friday, there was an incident where I actually went and picked him up from school because he was He was in a class with another student who is a known student. The school knows that this student has been verbally harassing him consistently since the allegations. And there was a hot glue involved to where it melted his shirt. It was a big part of it. It melted his shirt to him. The district then, so what he did, he didn't hit him, nothing. He picked the student up and moved him out of his bubble, and he got 2 days of in-school suspension, when the person that intentionally tried to burn him with the hot glue got 1 day of in-school suspension.
And you're claiming they didn't even send him to the nurse at the time as well? After
they
that.
did not.
Okay.
Yes, and I asked staff that when I picked him up, was he checked out by nurse or anything? And I was told no.
So what's the end game? We reached out to the school district, to Wentzville. They did not respond, but obviously you have concerns here as an advocate that this kid's being, still abused. He has, disabilities already. He's been traumatized. The district has not shown as much concern as they should with safety. The only reason that resonates with me is I've seen this pattern happen in these school districts, and it's kind of amazing to me the way they double down on some of this stuff. But from the other perspective, people would say, well, wait a second here, Jessica, this sounds crazy. Why in the world would this happen if the kid's been, proven that the allegations were false? Why wouldn't the school want to get involved and do something to protect him?
Well, that's why we're here, because that's my question. And honestly, I would think on the outside looking in, if I didn't know what I know, or if I hadn't experienced across multiple districts the crazy experiences and issues that students and families face.
Oh, I know. I've covered some of them.
I would be like, you're
right.
crazy.
So why do you think that happens? Because there's a process here. The lawyers get involved. The administrators get very nervous. They try to, in some cases do the most politically correct thing. But is there something that fits that pattern? Because it's the exact opposite of what you might expect in a situation like this, especially involving students.
Yes. So what I believe, which doesn't make it factual, but what I think for why this happens the way it does consistently is because the districts want to save face. They want to save their face. They want to, even if they know they made a mistake or if they handled something wrong, it is easier just to stick with it and not admit to the mistake rather than correct it for everyone.
Which is so shocking when schools are involved. But I've seen this exist. I've seen this pattern, and I mentioned Kirkwood. There was an incident from the last couple of years that I highlighted. A couple, actually. Well, listen, keep us posted on this. Again, I reached out to Wentzville. If there's another side to this story, I'm certainly open to hear about it. But you're at the point, where does this sit right now? You're still trying to get some attention and for the school district to act a little bit more responsibly in this situation?
Yeah, I mean, he's still being harassed, called a predator, a rapist, all of these things, and it's still continuing. And districts aware of it. It's happening during school, during classes, and he still shows up every single day and tries to do his best. He's on extracurricular activities. His teammates held phones in his face, acting like they were recording, saying, "Hey, tell us what it's like to rape little girls." And coaches were right there, and they didn't stop not one player. They did not stop any of it.
That's mind-boggling, if true. It really is.
It is.
It's crazy.
And it's the ongoing harm of it. But not only that, his record. So high school, your transcript follows you, right? So it goes with you everywhere, whether it's for a job, post-secondary education, military, any of it. And they had the chance to correct it, his record and everything, and they refused.
So why are you the one taking point on this, Jessica, and not where are the parents? Where's the students' parents?
So I am very, very close with the parents, and I'm speaking on behalf of them because of personal retaliation, maybe. I'm trying to think of how to word it, but the more attention they bring to it, the more retaliation they have experienced. Yeah. And I'm at the point in my life to where retaliate against me. That's okay.
Yeah. Well,
because what's best for the student is what's best for the student.
Well, keep us posted. It's kind of a crazy story, and these are the kind of stories that make me scratch my head and say, "What am I missing here?" So I feel like I'm almost missing a component. But we'll track down information if we can on our end, and you keep us posted, okay?
I will do that
All right.
real quick.
Yeah.
Zero tolerance law. To answer your question, that is actually what makes it possible for districts to continue it. I couldn't think of the name of it.
Oh, okay, I see. Well,
Yeah.
this lady said we don't have no tolerance for it. Yeah, but that doesn't address the issue of coaches and other teachers and administrators getting involved when there's retaliation, right? Obviously, there should be zero tolerance for that as well. Jessica LeMaster, thank you. I appreciate it.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
If you are westbound on 70, just some moderate volume at Jennings Station Road. Then things open up, slow again at Wentzville, and then there's a jam headed for Wright City. We've got an accident reported out that way. Now, 6440 Kings Highway out through McCausland, slow pockets, and then it's an accident reported past Lake St. Louis Boulevard, causing a delay there. Southbound 270, just a little slow at Ladue Road and also at Manchester. Northbound a little slow at Ladue Road as well. 55 looking better, but there's a brief slowdown at Bates. And if you're headed into Illinois, things look great on the bridges downtown. This report brought to you by Point with an E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
A Midwestern mom from Edwardsville, Illinois, rooted in faith, grounded in family. Annie Fry brings common sense and conviction to the conversation. The Annie Fry Show, weekdays at noon on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Annie here, and I can proudly say no more spiders in my home. I use Point Pest Control 4 times a year, and I haven't seen any, not a single one, since they've been in my home. Mention Annie and get 10% on top of any other special. Point Pest Control, 636-798-0023.
Are you nearing retirement and don't know if you have enough money saved to retire? That is scary. Do you have a written retirement financial plan in place? Well, when it comes to retirement planning, the trusted team at Financial and Tax Architects are the best. They've helped people all over St. Louis retire with confidence. And that's what you want. You want to retire with confidence. Now, they offer a one-night, 2.5-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. They hold these at colleges over the St. Louis area and in Illinois. No cost, no obligation, just learning. And at this class, you learn how to avoid costly mistakes, how to maximize your income, how to reduce taxes in retirement. So call them today, 314-888-5101, or visit fta-ria.com and take the first step toward a smarter retirement. 314-888-5101.
Missouri Brush Control is helping landowners reclaim their property, manage vegetation, and clear land for better views. Enjoy your land the way you've always dreamed of. Missouri Brush Control, making acreage great again. Visit MissouriBrushControl.com.
I hear from sellers all the time that they fear they have missed out on the selling market. They are so relieved to learn September, October, and November are strong selling months. With low inventory and hopefully lower interest rates, this fall will be a hot one for real estate. I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. You may have heard me say, why pay more than 4 for years? Now it's why pay more than 2, saving you even more money. Call me 314-441-4444. And remember, why pay more than 2?
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri, Kansas, and Nevada.
When it comes to roofing, you can't go wrong with Corel Roofing. Mark Cox here. My friend Curtis Corel came out, looked at my roof, worked with my insurance adjuster. I got a new roof, new gutters, and even new screens on some of my windows. Curtis specializes in working with insurance companies. Even if you've been denied, he's often able to work with these insurance adjusters to find a way to get it covered. Here's something else Curtis tells me. With cooler weather coming, you need to be aware of something. Roofs cannot be installed if the temperature dips below 45 degrees. Some companies go ahead and do this anyway, but you're going to have problems down the road. So if you're concerned that your roof won't make it through the winter, call Curtis Corel today. Corel Roofing has crews with over 20 years of experience. They pay attention to detail, and they can work with all the luxury line roofing as well. Call Curtis at 314-222-9529. That's 222-9529. or on Facebook at Corel Roofing Co. Celebrate September with zero res and get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Book online at zeroresstl.com. Take advantage of these huge savings. Spell it forward or backwards, it spells the same, zero res.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. If you're a renter, make sure you're protected. Renter's insurance includes options that cover stolen property, personal injury, and living expenses if your place is damaged. Quote Renter's Insurance at progressive.com.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
About to head out of here at 6 o'clock, as I always do on my ride home. I take 44 West to 141. And I bring it up, Sue, because the last few nights I've been noticing a MoDOT sign that says 44 westbound at 270 closing Friday at 10 p.m. I think it said until Monday at 5 a.m. Am I seeing that or reading that correctly?
That is absolutely correct. So that's all westbound 44 lanes at 270. Also, the ramp from northbound 270 to westbound 44. And even from westbound Watson to westbound 44. They're just shutting it all down. They've got to get some work done.
But it sounds like southbound 270. So
You're
if,
okay.
if I'm, because I'll be heading out in that direction and then coming back, I can still get home. Okay.
Yeah, they're
All
just trying to keep you off there. Westbound 44 at 270.
Well, as long as people know that it's happening, you can usually figure out the traffic mitigation, they call it.
Well,
right?
true. And they'll have signs up, but I'm the person who forgets, right? I'm driving around going,
Well, here's why this is important, too. Think about it, because the Cardinals aren't going to be here this weekend, but we do have Evolution Festival and some other events. And if people are coming down to Evolution Festival and trying to get home, they may, I mean, maybe you're going to take 40, you have to take 40 if you live out in my neck of the woods and then just go over to 270 and to get to 44 that way. But that's good information, certainly, for people to have. And we'll remind you as we head into the weekend here.
Stand by. Playback ready. Initiating.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
Well, unfortunately, we had a terrible shooting this morning. It was right around 7 a.m. Central Time. And this is information from the FBI Director, Kash Patel, directly. An individual fired multiple rounds at a Dallas, Texas ICE facility. He killed one person, wounding several others, and then took his own life. FBI, DHS, ATF, all on the ground. Now, while the investigation is ongoing, you have a situation where Kash Patel is saying, look, we are working with all authorities here. And then he posts a picture of some of the bullets that were unspent that still could have been used that have anti-ICE phrases on them. One of them just literally said anti-ICE. Here's a roundup of what happened this morning.
I can confirm at this time that the FBI is investigating this incident as an act of targeted violence. From rounds that were found near the suspected shooter contain messages that are anti-ICE in nature.
We responded to the call, got to the scene, and we later learned that we had 4 individuals that were shot, 2 of them deceased, including the shooter.
No members of law enforcement were hurt during this attack.
I think that the takeaway from all of this is that the rhetoric has to stop. It's dangerous, and people are losing their lives.
Violence is wrong. Politically motivated violence is wrong. This must stop.
Where is that rhetoric on ICE coming from? Let me think about it.
Every single ICE agent who's engaged in this aggressive overreach, no matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes, will of course be identified. This is not the 1930s.
Secret police who are masked, who are intimidating, who are scaring people. These Gestapo-like tactics.
This is Gestapo-like behavior.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets.
When you compare the old films of the Gestapo grabbing people off the streets of Poland, it does look like a Gestapo.
Over and over and over and over again, Gestapo, Nazi, fascists.
We got to stop it. We got to condemn it. And that starts, unfortunately, at the very top of the Democratic Party. If you want to stop political violence, stop attacking our law enforcement as the Gestapo. If you want to stop political violence, stop telling your supporters that everybody who disagrees with you is a Nazi. If you want to stop political violence, look in the mirror. That's the way that we stop political violence in this country, and we've got to do it.
Now, we're 2 weeks from the assassination of Charlie Kirk. That was 2 weeks ago today. And you still have a fair number of people out there, because of people like Jimmy Kimmel and others, that believe that shooter was a right-wing kook and not a left-wing kook. And then we've had two more examples of left-wing kooks, including today, but they'll spin it somehow in the other direction, I guarantee it.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
It's interesting. We've had a report of an incident on westbound 6440 past McKnight, but I'm not seeing it on the cameras. So if you are traveling through there has been one reported, but it's not immediately apparent. In fact, westbound 64, really just some moderate volume approaching Hampton out through McCausland, and then again out as you approach Winghaven. Eastbound, there was an accident past Prospect that caused a delay there. 70 westbound has all but thinned out of downtown, but there's an accident approaching Wright City, and that's caused a jam near Forestell, and that is causing a delay. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Climate Masters. We specialize in older homes. Climate Masters Heating and Cooling. Trusted heating and cooling installation and maintenance service. Keeping the St. Louis Metro comfortable